open up the guest box on there, and I think I'll probably try to get people to go through until we have enough guests where we can go. That will probably be the move. It'll probably be the move. Jeez, I think I got too ready for the live. It's 4:20. Didn't expect to get this elevated. How many followers do you have to camera access? I don't know. It's like actually all over the place. Thank you, Britt. I appreciate it. Thank you. It's all over the place because for some people it was like lower and some people it was higher. Typically, it does seem like around near 1,000, but like that's not even a necessarily good indicator. The way that I would see is that like before they just connect in, you just immediately kick them before if they do have camera access, and that's the way that I was running it. But like, first that mustache, it's just like really rough to do, and it's just honestly like a stressful process to deal with the TikTok guest request at this point. So but what's up everyone on YouTube? Good to see everyone. Happy Easter. Happy 420. Good day, everyone. Good day. Hope everyone's having a good day so far. I don't have that much long on live today. Jay Bree, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Thank you for the galaxy. I appreciate it. I don't have that long today, actually. But I will try. I don't think I'm gonna be live for a few days. I think I'm gonna be very busy. I will try to keep y'all updated. If you want any updates, look at the Discord. That is where I'll be giving updates. I think I will be able to make videos too. So check out my YouTube channel. So everyone on YouTube, you'll see that. I'll make updates and videos and stuff, and I might make stuff like that. So I mean, I'll see what I'll have to do. I might not have time to do like a live stream, like because I mean I'm pretty standard. Like when I'm doing everything when I'm there, it's gonna be difficult. Um, JB, I'm doing good. What's up, Ray? What's up, Ray? That's good. That's good. Good to see that protests were across the nation. That's good. Amazing to hear. All right, everyone. If you want to send a guest request, everyone, go over to the YouTube stream. YouTube stream. We're gonna put guest requests on YouTube. Invite, copy. I gotta paste it with guest request. I think today I'll do probably a little bit on debates, and then I probably want to do like reaction chill content. I feel like that's what I'm feeling like today, because yeah, I'm just gonna do that today. I think that's what I've decided on. Um, where is I'm looking for everything, everyone, to get everyone up. Do give it a second. If you're on YouTube, do make sure to like the stream. Are you okay? Yes, I am. Just a little bit elevated here on 420. I tell you. I tell you. Um, I feel like I'm not interested in watching the content cop. I just like I'm interested in watching some debates. Maybe there was this one person. Oh my god. Actually, maybe that. There's this one debate that from like a few days ago where someone said like watch this like creationist. Maybe we should like try to respond to like and react to that. That would be really funny. I feel like that would be an interesting thing to watch. Is from that would like relate to like what another debate that we had. Yes, Christian, I honestly am. I honestly am. Yeah, Matt said Ken him. Yeah, you know what? That actually might be the move, chat. That might be the move. Did you see the vegan versus Charlie Kirk? See, I think I saw like one little clip of it. I've seen a few people go up to Charlie Kirk and question him on that, and he doesn't really have good responses typically. Like I've never seen a good response from him. Carly, thank you so much. I really appreciate the $20. Thank you so much. Yeah, I know. I'm not. I feel like I just am not interested in it. I never even used to really watch stuff like that. So like yeah, I bet honestly. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. He apparently he lost and deleted the video. Yeah, I did hear that. That is one thing I did hear, which is really funny. But I mean, I've been seeing some comment sections on like even Charlie Kirk videos where like the entire comment section is against him, and they're just like even crazier right wing lunatics, right, in the comment section saying shit, and it's like really weird, and I'm like, it's very concerning, like in general, like that just that entire culture. Akana, thank you for the $5. Thank you. Non-political stuff. I'd love to see you watch Cartnarks. Oh, that's wild. That's wild. Yeah, no, I haven't watched much non-political stuff like at all. Like there's been very little. I've been like, actually, no, no, I've been like, like, I guess I mean like debate or like that conversation type niche. I guess I'm not quite sure. Um, Simpsons. It's supposed to be healthy soda. It's supposed to be healthy. It's like less sugar and I think it has fiber in it, and then like prebiotics and probiotics or whatever the hell. It says healthy on it, so I'm assuming it's healthier than me drinking other forms of soda. To be honest with you, I need to find something with like less artificial taste. That I'd probably say just soda with fiber. That's what I'm guessing. Happy 420. I appreciate. I appreciate it. Are you on YouTube live already? Yes. Yes, I'm on. Oh, oh my gosh. My not my alarm going off. Jeez, bro. Oh. Curse, yeah, I think I'm open to Christian debate today. I think I'm gonna do reaction stuff. I should have gone to, Streamlabs to be honest. So it's just easier to watch videos. I guess I could still watch videos on this. It's actually not difficult. I can just click on it. It's not that difficult at all. We can watch videos, react to stuff, and then also, yeah, like debate people if people want to come up, you know. All right, everyone. I think I'm trying to get everyone to go over to YouTube. Should we do that, y'all? I can't watch anything from Jubilee, y'all, because it will take it down on YouTube. It's unfortunate. Yeah, what really? Yeah, I can't do it on YouTube. No, it doesn't even let me. I could probably do something like that on Twitch or something, like in the future. I watched parts of it. I think I downloaded that one while I was like on the airplane. Fake sugar used to taste so bad to me, but you grow accustomed to it. Yeah, no, I get you. It's better. I mean, it depends how on the circumstance for me. You and me are not on this earth right now, for real. Alrighty, everyone. We should get everyone to go over to YouTube, and I think we should just like react to stuff. I think we should react to stuff, And if people want to join in the guest box, we can. I think, did I pin it? I don't think I pinned it. Did I not pin that? Wow. I am so elevated. I didn't even pin it. Wow, dude. Jeez, we're cooked, chat. We're cooked. It's unbelievable. Oh no, dude. Evans, thank you for the $2. Ever come to the Midwest? I actually was in the Midwest recently. I grew up in the Midwest, and I went there recently for a funeral for my grandparents. E Green, thank you so much for the $5. Thank you. Yeah, honestly, TikTok, it has not been the same at all. It has not been the same since it came back. It was so brutal. But yeah, everyone, let's we're gonna go onto YouTube. We're gonna watch. I need to find that one video of that one person that they told us to watch. They told us to watch this creationist named Ken Ham. It's just anti-science stuff. Like it's insane propaganda, I'm assuming. So we'll look through that. We'll look through that. All right, everyone. I think, do I have another account? I do have that other account. I think I might do that one. I'm gonna go on that one because I don't want to ruin this one's algorithm. And Emily, I thought that was a little bit wild, honestly. I thought that was wild. From what I, because like I didn't even remember what it was that happened, and then I just like looked into it and I talked to some people and I was like, wow, dude, that was just crazy. And I was like, I can't believe he came back. Um, but yeah, all right. I'm gonna end the TikTok stream. Sorry, I didn't even have my YouTube stream open. Jeez, I'm gonna go onto YouTube and I'm gonna put this the TikTok stream onto the Parkerized Concepts of Jobs. So if you want to watch me there, just kind of you'll just like see me. You won't really like hear the content and stuff. You can do that. But I'll have it here on like on my other account. I just don't want to ruin the algorithm here. So go over to my YouTube. I'd really appreciate that. Parker, get a job, everyone. We're just gonna react to some stuff today, and I'm gonna probably change the title to Parker reacts or something like that. All right, I'll see you. Um, hold up. I accidentally. Oh no. Where am I at? Where am I, dude? Oh, I'm so lost in the YouTube settings right now. One second. I'm so lost in YouTube. Gabriel, yes, and I think I'll do it every once in a while. I really do enjoy talking about that, and I think it's important because it gets down to the utter root of why they hold to a lot of the beliefs they do. Caitlin, thank you for the $5. Thank you for the elevation fund. Thank you. And wait, I did see that, and I already responded to that. Alrighty. I need to make sure that I send everything back. All right, I need to Parker Core. This is Parker Core, I tell you. This is Parker Core. I'm about to pull it up, everyone. All right. Okay, this person looks insane. It was the is Matt in here? Matt, it was the Kenham versus who debate. Bill Nye? Was that what they wanted me to watch? I think it's a thing. Yeah. Okay, it's a pretty long debate. We will have plenty of content, it seems. So, if there's anyone that wants to debate us, if you like, are Christian and want to debate or something, you join in or whatnot. Preferably like creationist right now because that's what the video is about. But Otherwise, I just want to react to this right now, to be honest with you. So let me plug myself back into the what's it called? The computer. Love being part of this community. Yeah, I do too. I love this community so much. Today's gonna be a fun day though. Let me turn this on. Alrighty. Here, there is someone here in the guest request. Let me see real quick. Yeah, what's up? How old are you?
Hey, what's up, Parker?
Yeah, how old are you?
I'm 19. What's up?
Yeah, what's up? What's up? Are you? Did you want to debate or something? Or
Oh, I mean, if you want, I mean, I was just coming up to see what you're up to, but I could drop to. I
oh
mean,
no, you're good. I'll literally just tell you. I'll just tell you. Right now we're about to watch the Bill Nye debates Ken Ham debate because some random person, let me add a Matt, some random person that I was debating, like just
mhm.
told us to watch it, who was like an insane creationist the other day that thinks like the Earth is like 12,000 years old, right? Like just completely denies science.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So, but yeah,
They think that Ken Ham won the debate, which is like hilarious because I remember watching it when it first came out, and even people who are creationists at the time thought it was like a shit show. So like it was, it's not one where like it will make your head hurt.
yeah. Let's
Wait,
watch this.
wait,
What's up?
Matt's in here. I can't see Matt in here. I can't see him.
I'm here,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's. I just have to do this. Boop.
Oh, there we go. Okay. Oh, all right. But yeah, I was in Matt's live before. We and him were talking. I don't know if you remember Matt. Me and you were talking. But
About what?
like about like I can't remember what it was. It was about like what was it about? It was like about something about Parker getting upset about the guest box and stuff.
Oh,
Getting up, yeah.
Yeah, it's been brutal recently. You know, that's why I think I truly was just like, you know what, I'm gonna protect my peace today.
that's probably a good idea.
And it just sucks that Parker has to get bananaed all the time. It's just terrible.
Yeah, it is unfortunate. Hey, but Nathan, I appreciate you coming up so much. We're about to watch this. If you
All
wanna,
right. Yeah,
you
you
know,
guys have a
watch
good one.
with us, appreciate
Yeah.
you. Alrighty. Let me turn this on. And then I can present, share screen. There we go. Boom. And Matt, you can turn your camera on too,
Okay.
if you
Hold on
want.
1
If
second.
you want, of
Yeah.
course.
Yeah. Yeah. Just give me 1 second.
You should be able to see it with us, right?
Yes, I can. Yep.
And can y'all hear this?
Ham.
Let me know if it's you know, loud enough, everyone. Is there a way I can make us bigger? Oh. Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. I like that.
No, I want to make it so that both of us are there. It's quiet? Okay,
We
I'll
had
turn it
a
up.
coin toss earlier to determine who would go first of these two men. The only thing missing was Joe Namath in a fur coat. But it went very well. Mr. Ham won the coin toss, and he opted to speak first. But first, let me tell you a little bit about both of these gentlemen. Mr. Nye's website describes him as a scientist, engineer, comedian, author, and inventor. Mr. Nye, as you may know, produced a number of award-winning TV shows, including the program he became so well known for, Bill Nye, the Science Guy. While working on the Science Guy show, Mr. Nye won 7 National Emmy Awards for writing, performing, and producing the show, won 18 Emmys in 5 years. In between creating the shows, he wrote 5 kids' books about science, including his latest title, Bill Nye's Great Big Book of Tiny Journeys.
Bill.
Bill Nye is the host of 3 television series. His program, The 100 Greatest Discoveries, airs on the Science Channel. The Eyes of Nye airs on PBS stations across the country. He frequently appears on interview programs to discuss a variety of science topics. Mr. Nye serves as executive director of the Planetary Society, the world's largest space interest group. He is a graduate of Cornell with a Bachelor's of Science degree in mechanical engineering. Mr. Ken Ham is the president and co-founder of Answers in Genesis, a Bible-defending organization that upholds the authority of the scriptures from the very first verse. Mr. Ham is the man behind the popular high-tech creation museum where we're holding this debate. The museum has had 2 million visitors in 6 years and has attracted much of the world's media. The Answers in Genesis website is well trafficked with 2 million visitors alone last month.
Okay.
Mr. Ham is also a best
Maybe we should skip this.
of education at the University of Queensland.
When this was first announced on the internet, there are lots of statements like this one from the Richard Dawkins Foundation: scientists should not debate creationists, period. And this one from one of the discovery.com websites: should scientists debate creationists? You know, right here, I believe there's a gross misrepresentation in our culture.
On that point specifically, I actually do think that scientists should debate creationists, because creationism is so prevalent that we have to address, right? That especially scientists have to address that, right? If we're going to meaningfully dispel it to a greater degree and to educate people on it.
So the counter argument to that is that what Dawkins is saying is that by actual scientists debating creationists, you are legitimizing the whole enterprise by saying that they're on the same level as the scientists. So while I personally am okay debating certain creationists, people like Ken Ham are such fraudsters, in my opinion, that to debate them raises them up as an equivalent to people like Bill Nye, Dawkins, and things like that.
Sure, I feel like that's the same thing as if the Dr. Mike debating anti-vaxxers, right? Anti-vaxxers have insane conspiratorial views, such as Ken Ham, right? And they both have insane views, right? And I think it's important for someone who's notable to talk to them so that they can educate, right? Because I understand that they're saying it makes them seem the same, but it doesn't. People don't treat them the same, I feel like, right? Maybe it could normalize it to a greater extent, but I feel like in their heads they already think that. The people who are already conspiratorial and whatnot already do believe that they are just the same as the scientists, right? And I think that when they see a debate between them, it will show that there's a huge distinction. They just have nothing to justify their positions, right? Or I mean, I do also get and understand the other perspective of it legitimized it. I think both of them. I just don't know which one makes more sense.
Ken Ham is a particular breed of creationists. There are creationists who want to learn and want to and that kind of thing. And then there's Ken Ham. And so he is a particular breed of it that I think by debating him, because he has so much influence and he's so out there, and as someone in the chat said, he's a charlatan and everything that he does. I think that's why I think scientists won't debate him is because he's on that level. If you're your average Joe Schmo person and you're wanting to debate a scientist, sure, but with someone like him, he's just on a whole nother level to where you have to be careful to not say, oh yeah, I disagree with him, but he's on the same level as evolution, as plate tectonics, as these other things, which someone like Ken Ham does disagree with.
Because I could imagine a video, right? One scientist versus 20 creationists, right? And I think that conversation would probably be a good conversation.
Yeah.
Right. And it could even be someone who is a progressive Christian, and that it's just the point of demonstrating that right, even that you don't have to hold to these conspiratorial beliefs is pretty important, at least in my eyes, to the political discourse, or not just political discourse, but discourse in general.
We're seeing people in being indoctrinated to believe that creationists can't be scientists. I believe it's all a part of secularists hijacking the word science. I want you to meet a modern day scientist who is a biblical creationist.
My name is Stuart Burgess. I'm a professor of engineering design at Bristol University in the UK. My name is Stuart Burgess. I'm a professor of engineering design at Bristol University in the UK. I have published over 130 scientific papers on the science of design in engineering and biological systems. From my research work, I have found that the scientific evidence fully supports creationism as the best explanation to origins. I've also designed major parts of spacecraft launched by ESA and NASA.
So here's a biblical creationist who's a scientist who's also an inventor. And I want young people to understand that. You know, the problem, I believe, is this. We need to define terms correctly. We need to define creation, evolution in regard to origins, and we need to define science. And in this opening statement, I want to concentrate on dealing with the word science. I believe the word science has been hijacked by secularists. Now, what is science? Well, the origin of the word comes from the classical Latin scientia, which means to know. And if you look up a dictionary, it'll say science means state of knowing, knowledge, but there's different types of knowledge. And I believe this is where the confusion lies. There's experimental or observational science, as we call it. That's using the scientific method, observation, measurement, experiment, testing. That's what produces our technology, computers, spacecraft, jet planes, smoke detectors, looking at DNA, antibiotics, medicines and vaccines. You see, all scientists, whether creationists or evolutionists, actually have the same observational or experimental science. And it doesn't matter whether you're a creationist or an evolutionist, you can be a great scientist. For instance, here's an atheist who is a great scientist, Craig Venter, one of the first researchers to sequence the human genome. Or Dr. Raymond Damadian. He is a man who invented the MRI scanner and revolutionized medicine. He's a biblical creationist. But I want us to also understand molecules to man evolution belief has nothing to do with developing technology. You see, when we're talking about origins, we're talking about the past. We're talking about our origins. We weren't there. You can't observe that, whether it's molecules to man evolution or whether it's a creation account. When you're talking about the past, we like to call that origins or historical science, knowledge concerning the past. Here at the Creation Museum, we make no apology about the fact that our origins or historical science actually is based upon the biblical account of origins. Now, when you research science textbooks being used in public schools, what we found is this. By and large, the origins or historical science is based upon man's ideas about the past, for instance, the ideas of Darwin. And our research has found that public school textbooks are using the same word science for observational science and historical science. They arbitrarily define science as naturalism and outlaw the supernatural. They present molecules to man evolution as fact.
Wait, so they're defining like science as like they think that you can observe the supernatural. They think that you can like measure the supernatural. They think that there's any basis for that. Like, how would you define science from a supernatural perspective?
You can't. That's what
Like,
I said. That's why he is somewhat being disingenuous here. It's because he's redefining what it means to do science, right? He's saying there are two types of science, right? There's this observational and there's this experimental. There's historical and everything, but he's dividing it up by his worldview, right? All of science is in effect observational, right? Because to form theory is to see observation and it's to build upward, right? Darwin, when he made his theory of evolution, he used observation to build it up, right? And so we all use observation in this, right? Only a pure someone who is doing absolute experimentation or like theoretical work would like not use observation at all. But that's only science in the sense that they want it to then go and see if they can validate it by observation, right? And so he is just giving, I think, these false dichotomies of science, which are not actually there. No scientist actually works in this way.
They are imposing, I believe, the religion of naturalism or atheism on generations of students. You see, I assert that the word science has been hijacked by secularists in teaching evolution to force the religion of naturalism on generations of kids. Secular evolutionists teach that all life developed by natural processes from some...
Force it? You mean like just acknowledge reality? That's all it is. He has an issue with us acknowledging reality and says like, oh, we should instead be forcing religion on them?
Primordial form, that man is just an evolved animal, which has great bearing on how we view life and death. For instance, as Bill states,
it's very hard to accept for many of us that when you die, it's over.
But you see, the Bible gives a totally different account of origins, of who we are, where we came from, the meaning of life. And
That doesn't even commit him to a belief. You know what I mean? Like it's just him just saying that. Like
our
what?
future. That through one man, sin entered the world, and death through sin.
Like, wait, I'm so confused why he brought that up. Hold up, I need to watch that again.
The revolutionists teach that all life developed by natural processes from some primordial form, that man is just an evolved animal, which has great bearing on how we view life and death. For instance, as Bill states,
It's very hard to accept for many of us that when you die, it's over.
Yeah, he could say that. Like, it's very hard for us to. Like, I'm so confused. He's essentially arguing that, like, because it's hard for us to accept that, like, it could be over, like, we try to posit so many different types of hypotheticals and explanations, religious explanations, to make ourselves feel better, right? That could be the claim that he's making. I'm so
but you
confused
see, the Bible gives a totally
why he's like arguing that.
different account of origins, of who we are, where we came from, the meaning of life, and our future. That through one man, sin entered the world, and death through sin, but that God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, whoever believes in him should not perish and have everlasting life. So, is creation a viable model of origins in today's modern scientific era? I say the creation-evolution debate is a conflict between two philosophical worldviews based on two different accounts of origins or science beliefs, and creation is the only viable model of historical science confirmed by observational science in today's modern scientific era.
And that is time. I have the unenviable job of being the timekeeper here. So I'm like the referee in football that you don't like. But I will periodically, if either one of our debaters runs over on anything, I will stop them in the name of keeping it fair for all. Mr. Ham, thank you for your comments. Now it's Mr. Nye's turn for a 5-minute opening statement. Mr. Nye.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. I very much appreciate you including me in your facility here. Now, looking around the room, I think I see just one bow tie. Is that right? Just one. I'm telling you, once you try. Oh, yes, two. That's great. I started wearing bow ties when I was young in high school. My father showed me, his father showed him. And there's a story associated with this, which I find remarkable. My grandfather was in the Rotary, and he attended a convention in Philadelphia. And even in those days, at the turn of the last century, people rented tuxedos. And the tuxedo came with a bow tie, untied bow tie. So he didn't know how to tie it. So wasn't sure what to do, but he just took a chance. He went to the hotel room next door, knocked on the door, excuse me, can you help me tie my tie? And the guy said, sure, lie down on the bed. So my grandfather, I mean, he wanted to have the tie on, wasn't sure what he was getting into. So he is said to have lain on the bed, and the guy tied a perfect bow tie knot. And quite reasonably, my grandfather said, thank you. Why'd I have to lie down on the bed? The guy said, I'm an undertaker. That's really the only way I know how to do it. Now, that story was presented to me as a true story. It may or may not be, but it gives you something to think about, and it's certainly something to remember. So,
Matt, do you know what he's saying right now? I might be.
He's just giving like a little anecdote about why he wears bow ties, I think.
Okay, I'm so like on.
Yeah, I know. You're on Planet Nine.
I don't even know what that he just said there. Like,
and I have two stories, and we can compare Mr. Ham's story to the story from what I will call the outside, from mainstream science. The question tonight is, does Ken Ham's creation model hold up? Is it viable? So let me ask you all, what would you be doing if you weren't here tonight? That's right, you'd be home watching CSI Petersburg. Is that coming? I think it's coming. And on CSI, there is no distinction made between historical science and observational science. These are constructs unique to Mr. Ham. We don't normally have these anywhere in the world except here. Natural laws that applied in the past apply now. That's why they're natural laws. That's why we embrace them. That's how we made all these discoveries that enabled all this remarkable technology. So CSI is a fictional show, but it's based absolutely on real people doing real work. When you go to a crime scene and find evidence, you have clues about the past. And you trust those clues and you embrace them and you move forward to convict somebody. Mr. Ham and his followers have this remarkable view of a worldwide flood that somehow influenced everything that we observe in nature. A 500-foot wooden boat, 8 zookeepers for 14,000 individual animals, every land plant in the world underwater for a full year. I ask us all, is that really reasonable? You'll hear a lot about the Grand Canyon, I imagine, also, which is a remarkable place, and it has fossils. And the fossils in the Grand Canyon are found in layers. There is not a single place in the Grand Canyon where the fossils of one type of animal cross over into the fossils of another. In other words, when there was a big flood on the earth, you would expect drowning animals to swim up to a higher level. Not any one of them did, not a single one. If you could find evidence of that, my friends, you could change the world. Now, I just want to remind us all, there are billions of people in the world who are deeply religious, who get enriched, who have a wonderful sense of community from their religion. They worship together, they eat together, they live in their communities and enjoy each other's company. Billions of people, but these same people do not embrace the extraordinary view that the earth is somehow only 6,000 years old. That is unique. And here's my concern. What keeps the United States ahead, what makes the United States a world leader, is our technology, our new ideas, our innovations. If we continue to eschew science, eschew the process, and try to divide science into observational science and historic science, we are not going to move forward. We will not embrace natural laws. We will not make discoveries. We will not invent and innovate and stay ahead. So if you ask me if Ken Ham's creation model is viable, I say no. It is absolutely not viable. So stay with us over the next period and you can compare my evidence to his. Thank you all very much.
Very nice start by both of our debaters here. And now each one will offer a...
Yeah, what's it called? What do you think Ken Ham's going to say in the debate? Matt, what are your thoughts?
Oh, well, he's going to go on more about this distinction between historical and observational science, which is a false dichotomy. And he's going to present evidence as he sees it as to why the creationist account is better than the account given by the theory of evolution. And it's going to be, he's going to say things that are false. He's going to misrepresent things, and it's going to be all over the place. So this is going to be the 30-minute part where Ken Ham just talks for like 30 minutes and your brain will melt.
All right, we'll see.
30-minute illustrated presentation to fully offer their case for us to consider. Mr. Ham, you're up.
Well, the debate topic was, is creation a viable model of origins in today's modern scientific era? And I made this statement at the end of my opening statement. Creation is the only viable model of historical science confirmed by observational science in today's modern scientific era. And I said, what we need to be doing is actually defining our terms, and particularly 3 terms: science, creation, and evolution. Now, I discussed the meaning of the word science and what is meant by experimental or observational science briefly, and that both creationists and evolutionists can be great scientists, for instance. I mentioned Craig Venter, a biologist. He's an atheist, and he's a great scientist. He was one of the first researchers to sequence the human genome. I also mentioned Dr. Raymond Damadian, who actually invented the MRI scanner. I want you to meet a biblical creationist who is a scientist and inventor.
Hi, my name is Dr. Raymond Damadian. I am a young Earth creation scientist and believe that God created the world in 6 24-hour days, just as recorded in the book of Genesis. By God's grace and the devoted prayers of my godly mother-in-law, I invented the MRI scanner in 1969. The idea that scientists who believe the Earth is 6,000 years old cannot do real science is simply wrong.
Well, he's most adamant about that. And actually, he revolutionized medicine. And he's a biblical creationist. And I encourage children to follow people like that and make them
By the way, can you pause it for
their
a second?
heroes. Let me introduce you
Yeah,
to
dude.
another.
Have you noticed so far, right? So far, who has he presented as his quote unquote scientists? People who are engineers, right? Now, engineers do science, right? But they're not biologists. They're not physicists. They're not chemists, right? He has this distinction where a actual science leads to technology development, right? He doesn't see it as science could lead to anything else. And so he's showing you scientists in his view that lead to some kind of outcome, people who are doing something, because that to him is the only way to do actual like non-observational science. And so that's what he's like trying to like lead up here. And you can be a biblical creationist, but you must separate that from your science. You cannot use the book of Genesis a priori to then inform your science. That's not how it works. And so that's what the problem is I guarantee you that that these doctors who are being brought up, they didn't use the a book of Genesis as a lab manual. Right? Like that's not happening. And so you can have a belief system as long as you separate it completely from the scientific endeavor.
Yeah, like I think it's insane for them to be like their version of science saying that the earth is 6,000 years old, right? Is anywhere near comparable. I just I don't see how they can envision that. I'm like, it's not even predicated on anywhere near the same process.
Another biblical creation scientist.
My name is Danny Faulkner. I received my PhD in astronomy from Indiana University. For 26 and a half years, I was professor at the University of South Carolina, Lancaster, where I hold the rank of Distinguished Professor Emeritus. Upon my retirement from the university in January of 2013, I joined the research staff at Answers in Genesis. I'm a stellar astronomer. That means my primary interest is stars, but I'm particularly interested in the study of eclipsing binary stars. And I've published many articles in the astronomy literature, places such as the Astrophysical Journal, the Astronomical Journal, and the Observatory. There is nothing in observational astronomy that contradicts a recent creation.
Oh, by the way,
I also mentioned Dr. Stewart.
He just mentioned two things, right? So he brings on an astronomer who has published scientific articles, but I guarantee you that the scientific articles have no mention to Genesis or to the Bible, right? But then two, he says observational science shows nothing, right? He's leaving out all of the other types of science that we have and facts of the case for why it doesn't. So he's saying, well, nothing that we see contradicts it, but yet he has to then leave out so much to actually make that case. That's why they are being disingenuous.
Doesn't astronomy contradict
it? Does. That's why I said he's being disingenuous here, because
totally
he's saying
does.
nothing in our observations lead us to that. Well, then you have to. But then what he's doing is he's taking the observations like the cosmic background radiation. He's taking the observations of a stellar evolution, and he's putting that and saying, I'm going to make it fit into a Bible narrative. He's a stellar, he studies stars, right? How do you get the fact that we know how long it takes for stars to form? Billions of years, right? Oh, well, I mean, a very long time. It takes a very long time for stars to form, to age, to die. You can't form that over a Genesis account. It's just not possible, right? And so he should know better.
Zach, think of the $5. Thank you so much. Probably.
Burgess, professor of design, engineering design at Bristol University in England. Now, he designed a double-action worm gear set for the 3 hinges of the robotic arm on a very expensive satellite. And if that had not worked, if that gear set had not worked, that whole satellite would have been useless. Yet Dr. Burgess is a biblical creationist who believes just as I believe. Now, think about this for a moment. Are scientists like Dr. Burgess, who believe in creation just as I do, a small minority in the scientific world? But let's see what he says about scientists believing in creation.
I find that many of my colleagues in academia are sympathetic to the creationist viewpoint, including biologists. However, they are often afraid to speak out because of the criticisms they would get from the media and atheist lobby.
I agree. That's a real problem today. We need to have
Bad
freedom to be
framing
able to
and also
speak.
false.
What did you say?
Bad framing, because he says that it's about the atheist lobby, which I don't know what the fuck that is. And then 2, he's saying that he knows colleagues. Well, you might know 5 people. Like, we have studies on this where we actually ask biologists and physicists what they believe, and it's all anonymous, right? And we know that the majority of scientists are not religious, and those who are religious are very good at separating their worldview. And so all he's doing is being like, I know some people, it's, I mean, like Ken Ham is propping this up guy as a good example of a scientist. He should know better than to be
Yeah.
like, I know people.
This is literally no different than the anti-vaxxers being like, Robert Malone, Peter McCullough.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's like, well, I've talked to people who tell me that they're sympathetic. Yeah, because you're a creationist. You're going to hang out with people who are other creationists. Yeah, duh. Like, you're not going to be hanging out in the atheist lobby wing
Seriously,
of like
bro.
a biologist here,
It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable.
On these topics. I just want to say, by the way, that Christian, non-Christian scientists, we should say, non-Christian scientists are really borrowing from the Christian worldview anyway to carry out their experimental or observational science. Think about it. When they're doing observational science using the scientific method, they have to assume the laws of logic, they have to assume the laws of nature, they have to assume the uniformity of nature. I mean, think about it. If the universe came about by natural processes, where'd the laws of logic come from? Did they just pop into existence? Are we in a stage now?
What? Dude, wait, is that not applicable to his own view? Did God create the laws of logic? Is that his view? No fucking way. That is the most incoherent view ever. Before logic existed, could God create an all-powerful God create a God so heavy that he could not pick it up? No, because that's contradictory. God can't do impossible things. Right? Not even no one holds that view. Literally, like almost no one holds that view.
Where we only have half logic. So you see, I have a question for Bill Nye. How do you account for the laws of logic and the laws of nature from a naturalistic?
What? How do you account? Okay, so how do you, in order to be able to explain science, how do you account for logic is somehow relevant?
Worldview that excludes the existence of God. Now, in my opening statement, I also discussed a different type of science or knowledge, origins or historical science. See, again, there's a confusion here. There's a misunderstanding here. People, by and large, have not been taught to look at what you believe about the past as different to what you're observing in the present. You don't observe the past directly. Even when you think about the creation account, I mean, we can't observe God creating. We can't observe the creation of Adam and Eve. We admit that. We're willing to admit our beliefs about the past. But see, what you see in the present is very different. Even some public school textbooks, actually, well, they sort of acknowledge the difference between historical and observational science. Here is an earth science textbook that's used in public schools, and we read this. In contrast to physical geology, the aim of historical geology is to understand Earth's long history. And then they make the statement, historical geology, so we're talking about historical science, tries to establish a timeline of the vast number of physical and biological changes that have occurred in the past. We study physical geology before historical geology because we first must understand how Earth works before we try to unravel its past. In other words, we observe things in the present, and then, okay, we're assuming that that's always happened in the past, and we're going to try and figure out how this happened. See, there is a difference between what you observe and what happened in the past.
No. Okay, hold on, pause it.
Let me illustrate it.
What he just said is science. He's saying that he disagrees with science because we observe things in the present and make conclusions about the past based on the observations in the past. For example, in geology, we see how erosion is happening today, right? We see how mountains are formed today. We observe certain things today. We apply it to the past, and we look for the signs of evidence from the past. People aren't just just like going out and being like, well, I see it today. Therefore, it must have happened in the past. No, they go and look for the evidence in the rocks, right? They go and look for evidence in the various layers of those rocks, and that's exactly what they do. And they look for the evidence of this, and they see the evidence, and they go, "Oh, you know what? Every time I look in the past, I see that evidence happening again and again and again, and it's matching with our predictions. Therefore, we can now form a theory about what is going on here." And that's science. There is no historical versus like observational science. This is a false dichotomy that he invented. He invented this because he wants to try to show
He
that
invented it, literally.
yeah, I mean, that's the problem. No scientist operates in this way. Like it just doesn't operate this way.
That is very unfortunate, bro. Just like literally created his own shit.
This way. If Bill Nye and I went to the Grand Canyon, we could agree that that's a Coconino sandstone in the Hermit Shale, and there's the boundary. They're sitting one on top of the other. We could agree on that. Do you know what we would disagree?
And Sana, thank you so much. I really appreciate the $1. Yes, I will definitely consider that for sure. I mean, I think it's definitely something I can bring up on lives every once in a while, but sound from callers. I'm reacting to content.
On? I mean, we could even analyze the minerals and agree on that. But we would disagree on how long it took to get there. But see, none of us saw the sandstone or the shale being laid down. There's a supposed 10 million year gap there, but I don't see a gap. But that might be different to what
right there.
Said science doesn't agree with me, so let me just make my
yes,
own
exactly.
science.
He just gave away the whole plot here. Okay, like listen to it very carefully. Right? What did he say? He said he and Bill Nye could be looking at the exact same thing, have the same interpretation that there's a gap here, right? But his a priori assumptions will not let him even consider that there's a 10-year gap or a 10 million year gap, right? That's the problem. Is that he has a priori assumptions.
He's just
that
not even
exclude
considering.
things.
He's saying he's not even considering.
Yes, exactly.
Like the perspective in science because of his religious.
Yes, because he says, I will not even consider the fact that there's a 10 million year gap here because I don't see it. Why? Because I have a priori belief about what happened here. And by the way, he thinks it was formed like the flood and shit. So I mean, like once again, he has a priori belief, and that's what makes it not science, because scientists don't have a priori beliefs. They let the evidence guide them to where they want where they need to go. And it doesn't matter if it's pro-evolution or anti-evolution or anything else. They go where the evidence leads. That's what good science is.
Bill Nye would see. But see, there's a difference between what you actually observe directly and then your interpretation in regard to the past. When I was at the Goddard Space Center a number of years ago, I met creationists and evolutionists who were both working on the Hubble telescope. They agreed on how to build the Hubble telescope. You know what they disagreed on? Well, they disagreed on how to interpret the data that telescope obtained in regard to the age of the universe. And, we could go on and talk about lots of other similar sorts of things. For instance, I've heard Bill Nye talk about how a smoke detector works using the radioactive element americium. And you know what? I totally agree with him on that. We agree how it works. We agree how radioactivity enables that to work. But if you're then going to use radioactive elements and talk about the age of the Earth, you've got a problem because you weren't there. We got to understand parent elements, daughter elements, and so on. We could agree whether you're a creationist or evolutionist on the technology to put the rover on Mars, but we're going to disagree on how to interpret the origin of Mars. I mean, there are some people that believe there was even a global flood on Mars and there's no liquid water on Mars. But,
does he even believe Mars exists?
Yeah, but it's bad. I mean, once again, did you see what he did here? He says, I agree with Bill Nye that the americium in the smoke detectors, right, is radioactive, and that's how it works. But he says, because we can't apply it to the past, because we can't see it in the past, I'm going to reject the very principles that it's using in the smoke detector to apply it to the past, because those are the exact same principles.
Dude, I cannot believe the guest was like, yo, dude, you should check this out. He fucking.
I know that's what I said. He thinks that like Bill, he thinks that Ken Ham did like a a great job here. Yeah, if you know nothing about science and about like the world, then yeah, I guess. But like he is self-defeating here because he
Okay,
cites examples and then like uses them to like knock down his own point.
Trinity said 55 accounts now. This is getting insane now. Trinity, the fact that you don't realize the insane one is you is the insane part. I'm sorry. 55 accounts you've been blocked on and you keep going. We'll make it 56 now. There we go.
We're going to
That's
disagree maybe on our interpretation of origins, and you can't prove either way because not from an observational science perspective,
can prove,
because
by the
we've only
way.
got the present.
What's up?
We
What'd you say?
can prove, by the way. He said, well, you can't prove either way. No, actually, we can.
Creationists and evolutionists both work on medicines and vaccines. You see, it doesn't matter whether you're a creationist or an evolutionist, all scientists have the same experimental or observational science. So I have a question for Bill Nye. Can you name one piece of technology that could only have been developed starting with a belief in molecules to man evolution? Now, here's another important fact. Creationists and evolutionists
Why is bro asking a question and then got moving on?
all have the same evidence.
How is Bill Nye supposed to respond to all this, dude?
Bill Nye
That's why I don't like these debate platforms like this, because like now he's just yapping about someone else that has nothing to do with it.
and I have the same Grand Canyon. We don't disagree on that. We will have the same fish fossil. This is one from the Creation Museum. The same dinosaur.
See, that's that
skeletons,
fossil.
The same animals.
Remember that
the
guy
same
cited
humans,
that fucking
the same
fossil? Remember that guy cited that fucking fossil of the fish eating the other fish? That's where it
fish
came
fossil. This is one from the Creation Museum. The same
Bruh.
dinosaur skeletons, the same animals, the same humans,
Does he believe dinosaurs lived with humans?
from. Probably,
it's the
yeah.
same DNA, the same radioactive decay elements that we see. We have the same universe. Actually, we all have the same evidences. It's not the evidences that
He believes we live in a universe with Mars, and God just created it 6,000 years ago.
are different. It's a battle over the same evidence in regard to how we interpret the past. And you know why that is? Because it's really a battle over worldviews and starting points. It's a battle over philosophical worldviews and starting points, but the same evidence. Now, I admit my starting point is
This is gibberish.
that God is the ultimate authority. But if someone doesn't accept that, then man has to be the ultimate authority. And that's really the difference when it comes down to it. You see, I've been emphasizing the difference between historical origin science, knowledge about the past when you weren't there, and we need to understand that we weren't there, or experimental or observational science, using your five senses in the present, the scientific method, what you can directly observe, test, repeat. There's a big difference between those two. And that's not what's being taught in our public schools, and that's why kids aren't being taught to think critically and correctly about the origins issue. But you know, it's also important to
Does he
understand
think people thinking critically is going to yield creationism?
No.
and when talking about creation evolution, both involve historical science and observational science. You see, the role of observational science is this: it can be used to confirm or otherwise one's historical science based on one's starting point. Now, when you think about the debate topic and what I affirmed concerning creation, if our origins or historical science based on the Bible's account of origins is true, then there should be predictions from this that we can test using observational science, and there are. For instance, based on the Bible, we'd expect to find evidence confirming an intelligence produced life. We'd expect to find evidence confirming after their kind. The Bible says God made kinds of animals and plants after their kind, implying each kind produces its own, not that one kind changes into another. You'd expect to find evidence confirming a global flood of Noah's day, evidence confirming one race of humans, because we all go back to Adam and Eve. Biologically, that would mean there's one race.
Go back to Adam and Eve is such a crazy view, dude. Oh my god, man. Oh, I could reduct you him so many ways.
Evidence confirming
I would love to like have a specific conversation about how I could reduct you that.
the Tower of
With them.
Babel, that God gave different languages. Evidence confirming a young universe. Now, I can't go through all of those, but a couple of them we'll look at briefly.
There's not evidence for any of those things.
No.
Like What is he saying?
I know kind
After
has
their
no
kind.
value. We don't know what a kind is by the Bible, because he's citing kind as, God created different kinds. Well, kind has no idea in science because we have problems defining what a species is, right? And things like that. That kind means nothing. And same thing with, the floods, same thing with all that stuff. All he's doing is he's saying, well, we would assume to like God says this happened, and if we look at it, this is what we see. Well, no, maybe he doesn't even consider the fact that maybe ancient peoples saw something and they're like, oh, what could have caused that? God did. And then they made a story around what they
Yeah, the
saw,
gaps.
and not the other way around, right? He's assuming that's the other way around. I assume that no, people saw something and then they applied a story slash mythology to that to try to explain it because they didn't have science at the time.
Find evidence confirming that. In the Creation Museum, we have a display featuring replicas, actually, of Darwin's finches. They're called Darwin's finches. Darwin collected finches from the Galapagos and took them back to England, and we see the different species, the different beak sizes here. And, from the specimens that Darwin obtained in the Galapagos, he actually pondered these things and how do you explain this? And in his notes, actually, he came up with this diagram here, a tree. And he actually said, I think. So he was talking about different species and maybe those species came from some common ancestor. Actually, when it comes to finches, we actually would agree as creationists that different finch species came from a common ancestor, but a finch is what they would have to come from. But see, Darwin wasn't just thinking about species. Darwin had a much bigger picture in mind. When you look at the origin of species and really,
Do they go to like shorter like times where they talk more about more
Later
specific
on.
things, or is it just like
This is what it is, basically through the whole thing. So if this is too much for you, then no, this is what you'll get, which is why I said it's brain numbing. Because unless you know about the kind distinction, unless you know that like he's talking about like I
I
would
mean, I
finish.
just want them to have a faster conversation.
I
Right?
mean,
The
maybe towards the
conversation
end.
oh geez, I think it's near the end. Because like the conversation they're having is like someone yaps for like 5 minutes, someone yaps for like 5 minutes, and it's like this is why I do not like debate settings like this, is because I feel like this isn't productive at all. Right? It's only really
Go
productive when
forward.
you hold people.
Go
I see near
forward
the end that
to
like going
the
back and forth.
yeah. So go back. Yeah, about right. Try right there.
Counter
Yeah,
rebuttal.
Okay,
Thank you, Mr. Ham, but I'm completely.
go forward a little bit. Just go forward. Until Bill Nye stops talking. Let's see.
Innovation, and that needs science.
the universe expanding, why God is doing that. In fact, in the Bible, it even says he stretches out the heavens and seems to indicate you realize, wow, that God
Are satisfied. And the big thing I want from you, Mr. Ham, is can you come up with something that you can predict? Do you have a creation model that predicts something that will happen in nature?
And that's time. Mr. Nye, the next question is for you. How did the atoms that created the Big Bang get there?
This is the great mystery. You've hit the nail on the head. No, this is so, what was before the Big Bang? This is what drives us. This is what we want to know. Let's keep looking. Let's keep searching. When I was young, it was presumed that the universe was slowing down. It's a Big Bang, except it's in outer space. There's no air, so it goes out like that. And so people presumed that it would slow down, that the universe, the gravity especially, would hold everything together, and maybe it's going to come back and explode again. And people went out, and the mathematical expression is the universe flat? This is a mathematical expression. Will the universe slow down asymptotically without ever stopping? Well, in 2004, Saul Perlmutter and his colleagues went looking for the rate at which the universe was slowing down. Let's go out and measure it. And we do it with this extraordinary system of telescopes around the world, looking at the night sky, looking for supernovae. These are standard brightness that you can infer distances with. And the universe isn't slowing down. It's accelerating. The universe is accelerating in its expansion. And do you know why? Nobody knows why. Nobody knows why. And you'll hear the expression nowadays, dark energy, dark matter, which are mathematical ideas that seem to reckon well with what seems to be the gravitational attraction of clusters of stars, galaxies, and their expansion. And then isn't it reasonable that whatever is out there causing the universe to expand is here also? And we just haven't figured out how to detect it. My friends, suppose a science student from the Commonwealth of Kentucky pursues a career in science and finds out the answer to that deep question. Where did we come from? What was before the Big Bang? To us, this is wonderful and charming and compelling. This is what makes us get up and go to work every day, is to try to solve the mysteries of the universe.
And that's time. Mr. Ham, a response?
Hey, Bill, I just want to let you know that there actually is a book out there that actually tells us where matter came from. And the very first sentence in that book says, "In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth." And really, that's the only thing that makes sense. It's the only thing that makes sense of why not just matter is here, where it came from, but why matter, when you look at it, we have information and language systems that build life, not just matter. And where did that come from? Because matter can never produce information. Matter can never produce a language system. Languages only come.
Dude, no, dude, like he's just essentially saying under naturalism, you can't explain us having a language. That's just wrong.
From intelligence. Information only comes from information. The Bible tells us that the things we see, like in the book of Hebrews, are made from things that are unseen.
If information only comes from information, well, then that infinitely regresses. Where did the original information come from? And that wouldn't even be from a God, because then you could ask, where did the information that God had come from? Because he's supposing that all information has to come from somewhere.
An infinite creator God who created universe, created matter, the energy, space, mass, time, universe, and created the information for life. It's the only thing that makes logical sense.
All right, Mr. Ham, a new question here. The overwhelming majority
only thing that makes logical sense is diabolical.
Of people in the scientific community have presented valid physical evidence, such as carbon dating and fossils, to support evolutionary theory. What evidence besides the literal word of the Bible supports creationism?
Well, first of all, I often hear people talking about the majority. I would agree that the majority of scientists would believe in millions of years. The majority would believe in evolution, but there's a large group out there that certainly don't. But first thing I want to say is that it's not the majority that's a judge of truth. There have been many times in the past when the majority have got it wrong. The majority of doctors in England once thought after you cut up bodies.
Much earlier in this conversation, he is doing exactly what he is now saying you shouldn't do. He appealed to authority in the first section, right? Who did he cite? He cited scientists who are on his side. Now he's saying, don't do that. We can't cite the majority. We can't cite authority here because that majority disagrees with me, right? But when it's the majority or the minority or the individuals who agree with him, he has no problem citing those authorities.
For real, bro.
You could go and deliver babies and wonder why the death rate was high in hospitals till they found out about diseases caused by bacteria and so on. The majority once thought the appendix was a leftover, organ from our evolutionary ancestry. So, when it's okay, rip it out. When it's disease, rip it out. Rip it out anyway. But these days we know that it's for the immune system, and it's very, very important. So, first, it's important to understand that just because a majority believes something doesn't mean that it's true. And then I'm sorry, I missed the last part of the question there.
What was the? Make sure I have the right question here.
About carbon dating.
So, what evidence besides the literal word of the Bible supports creation?
One of the things I was doing was I was making predictions. I made some predictions. There's a whole list of predictions, and I was saying if the Bible's right, and we're all descendants of Adam and Eve, there's one race, and I went through and talked about that. If the Bible's right and God made kinds, I went through and talked about that. And so, it really, that question comes down to the fact that we
abuse you of a fundamental idea.
Do they have back and forth here?
A scientist, if anybody, makes a discovery that changes the way people view natural law,
There is
scientists
no real
embrace him or
back
her.
and forth because this is
person's
a formal debate. So people are going to pose
Hell, formal
questions.
debate.
He's going to answer. Like it's not like fucking
You know, L
Jubilee.
formal debate. Let's watch something else. Fuck that.
Yeah, I know.
That dude, that's so bad. I'm sorry. I just like, dude. All right, everyone. I gotta find another debate to watch real quick. What should we watch? I was like, dude, that person who recommended me to watch that just wanted me to like.
That's why I said no one can watch that and not get like brain rot. But then two also like believe that like it came out good for Ken Ham. Bill Nye is great. I love Bill Nye like as like a science communicator, but I do wish that they had on a PhD in biology or like physics or something, because we do need to have somebody who is well versed in that field to be able to counter, because what they do is they try to speak the language of science, but they get it wrong. And so you need somebody who is very proficient in the language of science to be able to say, no, 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 you're wrong there, and let me explain how you're wrong.
All right, let's look for some debates. Is there any debate I could watch? Any MAGA debates as of recently that came out? MAGA debates. I'll look at MAGA debates and see if I can see anything. Sid, thank you for the $20. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Thank you. Called him annoying. Bald man and refused and would refuse to make eye contact. Wild. That's wild though. Sid, thank you so much for the $20 though. I appreciate it. I am looking for some debates. Well, here's Neil deGrasse Tyson versus MAGA.
When did that happen? Oh, was he debating that Bet David guy?
Yeah, Patrick Bet David. Oh, is this from 2 years ago? Oh, okay. It's like, is it even worth watching something from 2 years ago?
I mean, a lot has happened since.
Yeah, I know. That's like my thoughts. Here, let me see if there's anything as of recently. Am I able to watch Piers Morgan without getting a fucking stream cap?
That I don't know.
I'm not quite sure about that. Because there was one like with a bunch of idiots. I'm looking. Let me try to do stuff for recently. I'll isolate for recently, like on my YouTube. Or is there any God debates that'd be interesting to watch?
Not that I know of.
Upload date. I'm like seeing my own videos. I'm on my own account. Why is it recommending me my own videos? I see Dean's videos.
I mean, we can always watch one of Dean or your videos and do some self-critiquing.
Yeah, we could. Oh, one thing I did want to like make a joke about is there was everyone remember that Elazar guy, the guy from
Maybe.
Jubilee
Yeah.
that I debated? He made a video about me, and what's it called? He made 2 videos about me actually, and so a lot of people in the comment section even fucking what's it called? We're not on his side. It was really funny. He was so horrible. Literally, look at this. This is almost near the top comment. It says, "I despise Parker, but you kind of got outplayed here. You can't just say his questions are cringe. That's not an argument." Yo, dude. So funny. That's hilarious, dude. Dude, there's so many people in his comment section that think he's just like so dumb. There's this one person that said Parker can be annoying sometimes, but he destroyed this guy, not gonna lie. It's so funny. It's so funny, dude. Let me see if I can find anything else. I'm looking. Um, 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 um. Uh, let me see. I don't see anything I can see right off the bat. I'm looking. I'm sorry, everyone. I'm trying to find something. If you want to help out the stream, everyone, like the stream. It helps to get out to more people. I'm really looking, chat. I'm looking. I should try instead of MAGA, just put Trump. Yeah. Cosmic Skeptic and Cliff. We could watch that. Have I watched that on stream yet?
Yeah, we already did that, didn't we?
We did, yeah. I feel like we probably did. I was like, that sounds familiar. I feel
Dean
like
is
we
live.
did. We could join him. He wanted to have time before.
Oh, okay.
He wants to test his algorithm without me.
I'll say because I have stuff that I need to do anyway. So whenever you're ready, if you want to join him soon, I can hop off and you guys can go do your thing.
You can go do that right now. I can just chill here alone if you have to go do stuff.
Yeah, I will here in a minute. I'm looking. I'm just considering things.
Yeah, I am looking for stuff, Chad. I really like it's. To be honest, like it's pretty hard to find some stuff. There's not really much debate content. Low key, a lot of my videos pop up because it's my account, I guess. All right, yeah, I'm gonna keep looking. Give me a second, y'all. I feel like we could look for. I'm sorry, Evan. This is horrible. I'm really looking. Find the line and talk. I've never seen this. Parker sounds Blaze. I am. Oh, there's a person here. Yo, what's up? Did you vote for Donald Trump or are you Christian? You want to debate?
Parker, can you hear me?
Yeah, what's up?
Okay, no, just real quick, since you're having a lull here, suggestion. Are you or either of the other guys there familiar with the Humanist Report with Mike Figueredo?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll have to. I can look
review. Check out one of his most recent videos where it's people in China on TikTok responding to and owning Trump supporters who are. You'll see he does the best videos, one of my favorites. So check that out. It'll be one of the most recent. Humanist Report with Mike Figueredo about Chinese responding on TikTok to Americans talking about, or MAGA talking about China.
Is it they gave MAGA a harsh reality check?
Yes.
Yeah.
You got it.
I found it, yeah.
Do that. You'll like it. It'll be great topic for discussion. Okay.
Thank you
Bye-bye.
so much. Thank you. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks.
Appreciate it. Have a great day. Yeah, Humanist Report did a video on me. So.
Hey, nice.
Yeah, I can pull this up. Alrighty. And then in the meantime, y'all can tell me Peter Hitchens versus Alex O'Connor. Is that
Oh, that one was an interesting one. But Peter Hitchens is the Christian brother of now passed away the other Hitchens, Christopher Hitchens,
Mhm.
and he stormed out of the thing because he didn't like Alex's questions.
Okay,
Yeah.
we'll have to watch that.
Let me show you the United States products in my home.
Hold up. I need to just change the title to just Parker Reacts. Because I'm not just reacting to that anymore. All right. There we are.
Nothing.
Oh, by the way, I just want to let everyone know I probably like won't be live because I'm going to be so busy. I thought maybe I would have time to go live there. I probably won't. So I'll keep you all updated. Maybe I will. Maybe I won't.
When will you
I don't
be
know if I
back?
will. The 23rd.
The 23rd. Okay, so
Yeah.
that's on Wednesday. Okay.
Yep.
Do you have something from China in your home?
Americans, you don't need a tariff. You need a revolution.
You just heard from two Chinese TikTokers who pulled no punches in their videos about the trade war Donald Trump instigated with their country. And some of the comments that they made in those videos triggered a back and forth between them and some Trump supporters. And to say that they ended up schooling Trump supporters would be an understatement. They mopped the floor with them and gave them one of the most brutal reality checks I have ever seen in my entire life. And I've got to say, as an American, it is sad that so many Americans seemingly don't know as much about America as people who live outside of the country. Nonetheless, somebody's got to educate them. And since they're clearly not listening to any of us within the country, maybe some of these MAGA dipshits will listen to somebody with an outside perspective. They won't, but one can dream, right? Now, the main topic in question, obviously, is the tariffs. And at the time that I record this video, the percentage being imposed on China is now up to 245%.
Diabolical.
But I mean, by the time most of you see this video, it'll either be lower or higher depending on Trump's mood. But now China is giving Trump a taste of his own medicine, with officials telling reporters that they're not open to negotiations with America until the Trump administration shows some respect. And China knows that they're the ones with all of the leverage because we buy more from them than they buy from us. And even though Chinese workers who manufacture products for American companies are going to be at risk of losing their jobs, overall, China knows that we have more to lose than them. And right now, they're beating Trump at his own game. President Xi is striking deals with Malaysia and Vietnam, as well as other countries, by presenting themselves as a more stable and certain trading partner, unlike the United States. And when you consider how longtime allies like Canada, as well as European countries, are trying to economically detach themselves from us since we just can't be trusted, that's a sign that this isn't going very well for us. So Donald Trump is losing the trade war, and we all look like a bunch of fucking idiots thanks to him. But I mean, this is what a majority of the American electorate voted for, so we reap what we sow, right? Either way, the tariffs are a hot topic in China right now for obvious reasons, and Trump supporters simply refuse to accept people in other countries.
I got to catch up with my... I was a little bit behind. Oh my God. Haley with the $39. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Happy 420, fellow elevator. Wish I had more for you today. So, oh, don't worry about that. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much, Haley. Celebrate our national holiday like crazy today. I will. And Haley also sent $20. Thank you so much. Got to do for more good rips. Yo, you know what? I got you.
Telling
celebratory blinker for that.
Them how stupid they look. For example, in that first TikTok that we saw from Buddha Wang, where he explained how there's no American products in China, so this is obviously going to hurt us more than them, somebody actually responded to him with that comment with what I think they believed was an own, asking them, well, if Americans don't buy Chinese products, who are you going to sell them to? And his answer was priceless, because that is a very stupid question. But nonetheless, here's how he responded to that.
Rest of the world. By the way, Donald Trump already caved in. Check the news.
My God. We've talked about this before, how Americans...
So yeah, the rest of the world definitely, but there'll be lower global demand. So it's going to hurt both sides, of course.
Think that America is the only country on the entire planet, and this is that mentality on full display. It's just so humiliating as an American. But of course, the commenters just couldn't take the L, which led to him dunking on them once again. And each time, you're going to see that his responses get much more ruthless. Rightfully so, by the way.
So many MAGA leave messages like, soon I will have no products from China. Yeah, that's only because soon you will have no home. Sorry, that's not funny. In China, we all have homes. Even the poorest have home, can afford fresh vegetable, meat, eggs. That's just like basic human rights in China. And I hope you also have that basic human rights. Oh, dumbass.
Damn, that was harsh. But I mean, he's not wrong. See, in the United States, the standard of living as well as life expectancy continues to decline while homelessness is on the rise. Whereas in China, life expectancy is gradually increasing, as is the standard of living, and homelessness has been significantly reduced in China. And that doesn't mean that everything is peachy keen in China, because
Is there a higher rate of? I got it. I just gotta look this up real quick. What? What is? I gotta look this up. I gotta look this up. Let's see, by 2025. 2.5 million, 2.6 million. I mean, the population is higher. You do have to account for that. So as percentage, it might be lower, but I mean, didn't they make the claim that like there isn't? Yeah. We'll have to go back though. Alrighty.
They, of course, have their problems like all countries do, but the fact that our politicians aren't doing anything to even try to address the crises we face because they've been bought off by oligarchs and large multinational corporations is why things continue to get worse in this country. And the reason why Americans allow politicians to let things get so bad is because of the nonstop brainwashing that we are constantly subjected to, as Buddha Wang explained in this next clip. And I've got to say, that end to this clip, just wait for it.
MAGA people, you guys are really dumb. Seriously, the whole world knows you guys are dumb. Only you guys don't know about it. I'm Chinese. I'm just very straightforward. You guys are so stupid. If the lies too complicated, you guys cannot even understand. So politicians have to make the most obvious, most ridiculous lies. And you guys like, oh, I get it. That makes sense. MAGA, you are so obsessed with, what about this? What about that? This and that, all propaganda. Everything you know about the other country is propaganda. You live in a propaganda cage, your so-called free media controlled by same group oligarchs. And your Google is super censored. Okay, I'm not saying I'm free. Nobody is totally free. We're all working class, somebody manipulating us. But yours, doing you so hard, oh my God, hurts. Buy some lube from China.
My God. Let's run that back one more time so people in the back can hear what he said.
Buy some lube from China.
Goddamn. How do you respond to that? How do you keep arguing with somebody who very clearly has the upper hand and who's much more intelligent than you? Just give up. But I mean, if you go through his TikTok feed, he continues to argue with Trump supporters because to him, it's easy. He just swats them aside. They come up with some dumbass argument and he dismisses it. Sometimes he's nicer. Other times he checks them. He claps those cheeks. It's entertaining, but at the same time sad as an American because we continuously display our stupidity to people around the world and we think that we're so cute and smart, but we look like fucking idiots and we don't realize how the rest of the world sees us. I wish that Americans had more self-awareness, but we don't. Now, that wasn't the only time.
Someone's dying to know the flavor. Let me check. Right now it's Blue Dream.
That Buddha Wang dropped a truth bomb on the MAGA chuds who weren't only wrong, but racist towards him, as you're going to see, because, you know, he's the one that keeps getting the last laugh. Literally, in this video, he got the last laugh.
MAGA, the Federal Reserve using dollar to exploit people all around the world, and you didn't get the benefits. you pay tax and the tax money go to war. Why you sound so proud?
I love this guy. What a king. But he's not the only Chinese TikToker who's trying to give Trump supporters a wake-up call. A Chinese man from Wuhan named Neil Zhu, who now lives in Canada, gave one of the most concise breakdowns about everything wrong with the American political system that I have ever seen. And he doesn't specifically address Trump in this video, although indirectly he's talking about Trump because he addresses the tariffs. But what he says here provokes Trump supporters for obvious reasons, which he responds to. And I'll show you his response. But first, just listen to this impeccable breakdown from him.
They rob you blind and you thank them for it. That's a tragedy. That's a scam. That's why I'm saying this right now. Americans, you don't need a tariff. You need a revolution. For decades, your government and oligarchs won't ship your job to China. Not for diplomacy, not for peace, but to exploit cheap laborers. And in the process, they hollowed out your middle class, crushed your working class, and told you to be proud while they sold your future for profit. And yes, China made money, but we used it to build roads, lift millions out of poverty, fund healthcare, raise living standard. We reinvested in our people. My family also benefited from it. What did your oligarchs do? They bought yachts, private jets, mansions with golf course driveways. They manipulate the market, dodge tax, and poured billions into endless wars. And you get stagnated wages, crippling healthcare cost, cheap dopamine, debt, and flagged wave poverty made in China while they pick your pocket. For 40 years, both China and the United States benefit from the trade, the manufacturing, but only one of us use that wealth to build. This isn't China's fault. This is yours. You let this happen. You let the oligarchs feed you lies while they made you fat, poor, and addicted. Now they blame China for mess they made. I don't think so. I don't think you need another tariff. You need to wake up. You need to take your country back. I think you need a revolution.
It is astonishing to me that this isn't obvious to more people. As he said, oligarchs robbed us blind, and we thank them for it. It's so sad, but unfortunately, it's true. And Americans, at some point, have got to come to terms with the fact that we let this happen to us. So many Americans believed Ronald Reagan when he told us that the wealth would trickle down to us. They were laughing all the way to the bank at our expense. So many Americans believed our imperialist wars were actually waged in the name of self-defense or for humanitarian purposes. We gobble up every lie the empire feeds us unquestioningly. And for the people who realize, oh, okay, they lied, so I should be more skeptical, they take it in the opposite direction where they become full-blown tinfoil hat conspiracy theorists and don't believe everything, even common sense things like, hey, there's a pandemic, maybe you should wear a mask. We are living in George Orwell's nightmare. And it's gotten so bad that Americans basically live in two different realities. I don't know how else to describe it, right? There's the real world, and then there's the fake world. In the real world, Donald Trump lost the 2020 election, and the Supreme Court sided against him in a 9-0 decision recently. But in the la-la land that Trump supporters are trying to force the rest of us to live in, Trump won the 2020 election, and the Supreme Court sided with him in the same 9-0 decision. I mean, we make it easy for the oligarchs to rob us blind. Many of us open our wallets and let them rob us, all because we feel like we're temporarily embarrassed millionaires or something and expect ourselves to be in their shoes one day when, again, that's another piece of bullshit they fed to us. The American dream. As George Carlin put it, you have to be asleep to believe it. That's why they call it the American dream. Now, a lot of this is inevitable, to be fair to us, under a capitalist system. This is what late-stage capitalism looks like. But in all fairness, most other countries are also capitalist, and it's not as bad for them as it is for us. It doesn't have to be this bad. We don't even have healthcare, for fuck's sake. The last time there was a real push for Medicare for all during the 2020 Democratic Party primaries, Democratic presidential contenders were actually trying to convince voters that we love the private health insurance that we hate with a burning passion. I mean, this is why Neil thinks that we need a revolution, because him and every other outsider can see that our system very clearly isn't able to meet the most basic needs for Americans. But I mean, some of Trump's supporters saw his TikTok and chimed in and told Neil, oh, well, actually, America did just have a revolution by electing Donald Trump. And he then proceeded to explain to them that Donald Trump is a con man, not a revolutionary.
He's not your revolution. I think he's still a real estate developer. If there's one thing I know,
saying that Donald Trump is a revolutionary is diabolical. That is diabolical. That's some insane shit. And like I think the sense of revolution they're using here is like I'm hoping cultural or political revolution, not kind of like a violent revolution. You know, I don't think that's what they're referencing here. At least I would hope not.
about real estate developer is that they love money. They love people who have money. And they love being around power. Let me ask you, why would someone like that work for you? You don't have the money. You don't have the power. All you had was one vote, and you already gave it to him. The vote became his stepping stone. He used it to accumulate the ultimate power. You see how he moves. His name everywhere: hotels, golf courses, restaurants, even possibly on legislations in the future. His face is on flags, t-shirts, truck, like a brand. He works like a real estate agent. He pointed a piece of land in the Middle East, and he already picturing a beachfront resort and luxury shopping district. That's how his mind works. It's not about serving the people. I don't think so. I think it's about building something with his name on it, legacy he wants. But look, I will give him this. He's really good at marketing. He knows how to sell the images. He made you believe that he's one of you. He was going to fight for you. He's gonna shake the system.
All right, I'm gonna look for another video. There was what was the other debate people wanted me to watch? Is Alex O'Connor. Alex O'Connor versus
Peter Hitchens, probably. I think it's the one people said. But I'm gonna go ahead and head off. So you have a good afternoon, okay?
All right, bet. I'll see you, bro.
Bye, dude. Bye, chat.
Verse. What was his name? Did Alex talk to Charlie Kirk before? No. Have we watched? I don't think we've watched all of the Alex O'Connor Cliff thing. There was probably like a whole Cliff thing that we could watch that we didn't. We probably watched like sectors of it. Yeah, it doesn't look like I've watched all of it.
Religion and mental physical health, and so longevity. And so the latest one was those who go to church, doesn't work with social clubs or anything of the like, church weekly, the women have a 60% higher chance of not remaining hooked on drugs. Emotional well-being skyrockets, longevity skyrockets, and those who bring their kids to church on a regular basis, those kids in their 20s have a much, much higher percentage of well-being, happiness, and flourishing. And the studies are longer than that. Like obviously altruism skyrockets for those who go to church and that sort of thing. So this is a very secular, slightly academic study that has shown this numerous times. So I think the meaning crisis, yes, it has a lot to do with church. I think you probably know Andrew Delbanco, who wrote The American Dream. He was a secularist, and he charted the history of the U.S. and showed how it wasn't too long ago when the nation really elevated God and church. And then it kind of shifted to patriotism and focusing on country and fighting for your country. So still something outside of yourself. But now secularism has poisoned our nation because it brings a high level of individualism and a focus on the self rather than something higher. And by doing so, that's why there's a meaning crisis, according to this secularist.
Yeah, there's a lot to say about secularism in the United States in particular. It's interesting hearing it framed in those terms. I mean, because one of my other thoughts on this is that something that Americans might have lost is that national identity. I've previously talked about how I watched sort of political debates from not even that long ago, maybe the 70s or 80s, and people are quoting the founding fathers like they're quoting hadiths of the Prophet Muhammad, as if it like settles debates, you know. And there seems to be this mythos around the founding of America and all of these stories and the almost religious art, you know, that you see at the Declaration of Independence or Washington crossing the Delaware. And I thought to myself, well, maybe Americans are missing that as well. Maybe it's not so much the God stuff that's been tying them together this long, but that they have this kind of national story to identify with. But you would say that that's not the case.
I heard a commentator recently, again, non-Christian, say that Christian nationalism is basically being spawned out of those who are not going to church regularly. So if you increase religion, you will do away with Christian nationalism.
Interesting.
But a far, far, far right fringe would be considered Christian nationalists. And
people are telling me to watch the Peter Hitchens one, so we're gonna watch it. And I think I remember, I'll keep that open just to like, because we can, you know. But right now, I will do Alex Connor versus Christopher Hitchens. All right, okay. Where do I find it? Wait.
To drug decriminalization.
Did y'all hear that or no? I can restart.
What you're about to hear is the most bizarre experience that I've ever had in the production of this podcast. 2 months ago, I emailed Peter Hitchens saying, quote, "I'm writing to invite you to appear as a guest on the podcast to discuss your work and areas of interest, in particular, issues pertaining to drug decriminalization, whether we are experiencing a moral decline in society and the influence of secularism on this question, and the state of monarchy in the United Kingdom." Before the interview commenced, I reiterated that there are 3 subjects of interest, things that he's spoken about or written books about in the past, and that I've also covered on my YouTube channel. And these are drug decriminalization, God and religion, and the monarchy. To which he said, "The monarchy's a bit boring." And I said, "You know what? I actually agree with you. Let's not do the monarchy." He didn't take the opportunity to make a similar comment on either of the other 2 subjects that I mentioned. Then we sat down and the camera started rolling, and I asked him if he had a hard out. That is there a time that he needs to be done by? He said, "What did you have in mind?" To which I respond, "Ideally, these things run for about an hour, but if the conversation is particularly lively, they can be an hour and a half. I've done podcasts that are 3 hours long." To which he said, "Well, we'll see how we do, but 3 hours might be a bit long." So as far as I was aware, we were about to have an hour or an hour and a half long conversation about 2 topics, drug decriminalization and God and religion. I had also on my list the issue of the death penalty, but that was only if we had time. That wasn't something that I'd actually mentioned to him. And then something went disastrously wrong. I'm really in 2 minds about posting this because I don't like the idea of posting something that one of my guests isn't happy about. Generally speaking, if a guest tells me that they want to take something out or they're not happy with something for any reason, then I respect that. The problem is that Mr. Hitchens didn't just tell me that he wasn't happy with the interview, but that he wasn't happy with me personally, and he did that for 15 minutes. He then went on Twitter and made it quite public that he was recovering from an attempted interview with me in which I bored him for almost an hour with unoriginal questions about drugs. Since then, he's been tweeting about me quite a lot, and I think I've earned something of a right of reply. I figured the best thing that I can do is simply present the full, uncut interview so that you can make your own mind up about what went wrong here. I may, in a future YouTube video, give you my own views about what I think happened and why I think it went wrong, but for now, I simply give you Peter Hitchens. Peter Hitchens, thanks for being here.
You just know
So
that
far,
you just
so
know
good.
that it was unhinged.
Suella Braverman last year, after the Conservative Party conference, was reported to have been considering upgrading cannabis to being a Class A drug. And this was amid concerns that it had become a gateway to other harsher substances. Do you think that cannabis is a gateway drug?
No, I think it's quite bad enough itself. It doesn't need to be a gateway to be bad. The potential effects
Great things to talk about today. Okay, let's see what this absolute weirdo has to say. Hold on 1 second.
Of it on users appear to be, by correlation, to be so serious that it's silly to think of it as a gateway drug to others. It's quite bad as it is. The whole system of classification was designed.
Yeah, he better be saying the same thing about alcohol and nicotine.
As far as I know, back in the early 1970s, to actually make it seem less threatening than the then bogeyman drugs of heroin and LSD, which is why it had a different classification.
He thinks it's on the same level as those two is diabolical.
From them.
Oh my
So do you think that would have
god.
been a wise idea, upgrading the class?
No, none of these things have any real relevance at all. The current classification, I think, means the maximum sentence for possession is, I think, 5 years in prison and an unlimited fine. That's quite a severe sentence. And the point about the law at the moment is that it's not enforced. Not the law is not stringent enough on paper, but that nobody enforces it. So upgrading it or making noises about it being a gateway drug won't change that until the police enforce the law, which is what they're paid to do. Then nothing will happen.
Yes, I sometimes hear you mischaracterized as a person who wants harsher penalties for drugs.
People will say things like this. It's actually the harshness of the penalty isn't really the point. The point is that there is a penalty, that it's a realistic penalty, and that it is imposed when people break the law. In general, I'm of the view that with enforcing law, that with first offences, you're pretty lenient. You don't want to ruin someone's life for one offence. But once the second offence kicks in, I think you have to be serious. And at the moment, we're unserious about first offences and equally unserious about second ones. So there is no deterrence of possession of marijuana, which is the principal offence. And so it continues to grow. And people regard it, A, as legal, and B, as not really a drug.
Well, describe for me the scene in the UK as you see it. I think people listening to this, particularly American listeners, might not quite understand what it is you're talking about when you say that, at least I've heard you say in the past, that marijuana is effectively already decriminalized in this country.
It's not just me who says that. Many prominent police officers have said it. It is evidently the case.
But to what extent is this the case? I mean, for example, if I were to just sort of walk up to a police officer and smoke a joint in front of them, presumably they would do something about it.
I doubt it.
You think even in
every
every
year on the 20th of April, there's this 420
of course, yeah,
demonstration in Hyde Park, which the law is openly mocked, and the police just stand around. Unless they're really seriously rubbed up the wrong way, they won't do anything. They'd rather not do anything. It's a nuisance to them. It's for them because the courts are not interested. And the state is not interested. Police will only enforce laws when they get the strong impression that the government wants them enforced, and they have been getting the strong impression for years that the government doesn't want this one enforced. So you can't be surprised when they don't do it.
And in some places, even in the UK, there seems to be not just
just make it legal,
inability
bro.
to enforce this law apparently from the police, but also, I'm thinking, for example, recently of Scotland and the suggestion of drug-taking rooms or something of this sort.
This is all these things. It's like drug testing units at rock festivals and so forth. All these things are designed to mock and call into question the law itself. As a signatory to the Universal Drugs Convention, and also as a member of the United Nations Security Council, Britain cannot legislate, not seriously, to abandon these laws because it's signed international treaties saying it will have them. But what it can do instead, and this has been known to drug decriminalization campaigns for years, is it can just not enforce them. And that's what has been going on, first of all, informally, and then more and more formally, especially since the Runciman report and the London police experiments of the early parts of the century. It's just become a de facto legalized drug, and anybody who wanders around London will smell it all the time.
And I guess I'm interested in why this might have become the case. I mean, there are a lot of people who want drugs to be officially decriminalized in this country. I've made videos in the past on my YouTube channel talking about the subject, and I'm broadly in favor of the decriminalization of drugs, although it's a fairly malleable position to me. It's not something that I've thought about a whole lot. I'm wondering, in other words, a lot of people will listen to what you're saying and think to themselves, well, okay, but this is kind of a good thing. Maybe it's a bad thing that the police aren't enforcing the law.
These are all people whose children have not started taking marijuana at an early age. Those who have, will in many cases know very well the reason why they should worry about it, because although, as I say, we have no causal link, we have a growing correlation between the use of marijuana, particularly at an early age. This isn't exclusive, but it's strongly so, between the use of marijuana and mental illness of an incurable and disastrous kind. And that once that's visited a home, then people understand that there might be reasons for worrying about it. But those who haven't experienced that are influenced by a wholly different set of values. They, particularly the use of marijuana in this.
There'd probably be a higher correlation with that in like watching this video, dude. Like, dude, like what is this guy saying, bro? Also, like any negative impacts that come from weed wouldn't necessarily entail that it should be illegal.
This country by the what you might call the educated elite became common in the 1960s. It's a very old thing. It also, the smoking of marijuana, the rolling of the joint, the passing round of it, the sharing of it, is a sort of ceremonial holy communion, unholy communion, if you like, of the 60s generation. And it's also very much linked and referred to in a huge part of the music which people listen to. It's part of the culture. And many of people who were involved in that culture permitted their children to take drugs at home, and they know their children take drugs, and they're worried that their careers might be impaired if the law is enforced, so they're against it. That's the crude way of putting it. They themselves don't believe in the law, and they think that their own children should not suffer from it.
But surely, I mean, it's conceivable to have a person who is broadly, as I am, in favor of the decriminalization of drugs, officially speaking, that is, but at the same time think that we shouldn't be giving drugs to children. I mean, just like with alcohol or smoking, these things are legal in this country, but it's not legal to sell these things to children.
No, but they get into the hands of children, and if they were commercially on sale, if the drug were legalized, to say it's been in Canada, so it can be bought in a shop, then it would be more available to children than it is now. I think certainly from Colorado, one of the American states where it's been legalized, there is a certain amount of evidence beginning to pile up of its use among school children, which has intensified following legalization. I don't think anyone can really claim that if a drug is legalized and put on general sale and ultimately advertised as well, that young people will not use it, even though it's technically illegal for them to do so. Anybody in their teens can obtain alcohol, and they can also obtain cigarettes, and these things are on wide sale in many cases in smuggled and illicit forms, which they're not illegal in themselves, but they are smuggled, and in the case of alcohol, illicitly made. So it's absurd to imagine that if you made it easier to get hold of, that more children wouldn't get hold of it, because they will.
I'm sort of imagining a situation in which, I guess what I'm asking is, what is the ideal law here? I mean, is there something, when I asked you about the decriminalization of drugs a minute ago, you immediately talked about children, the fact that...
Well, I mentioned it because it's the most obvious thing. I refer anybody who tells me that marijuana is harmless to Patrick Coburn's book, Henry's Demons, about the experience of his son Henry. I've known Patrick for many years, and I've also known Henry, and I have witnessed what happened to him, and it's deeply disturbing and saddening event in the lives of that whole family, and particularly above all of Henry. And it's very hard to resist the conclusion that it's the result of his being introduced to marijuana at his secondary school in Canterbury. So I think this is one way in which it comes home to people. I'm not saying there are no other arguments against it. There are plenty of other arguments against it, which I can make if you want to make this whole interview about why marijuana should remain illegal, indeed why the law against it should be enforced. Okay, I've written a book about it, but I don't particularly want to go on and on about it. These arguments are well known, and people can look up the book that I've written, particularly The War We Never Fought, on this subject if they want to know what my detailed arguments are. This isn't really the forum for going on and on about.
I do have the book somewhere in this room. I should have it here so I could wave it in front of the camera, but we'll make sure a link is in the description and show notes to that book.
Well, I'd love it if you did, because it was so it was so badly treated by the review mafia and the publishing industry that it became known in the publishing industry as the book they never bought.
Let's watch the end of it, okay?
Did have something to do with the fact that less people were dying. And if that's the case, is this not a policy that's worth pursuing?
It's a possibility. But I think you'd struggle to find a causative relationship between the two.
The Washington Post talked about a recent increase in drug users and how the local police were talking about increased crime and blaming it on increasing in drug use. But the drug use, despite increasing and having a spike recently, is still below the European averages. And I wonder if that might have something to do with the fact that this is the policy that is in place in Portugal at the moment.
I don't know. I wouldn't know, but it seems to me that the reports in the Washington Post of the misery which has followed this change in the law would put most people off embarking on it. Now, I mean, neither is it the case that that there is any country on the European continent which makes any serious effort to enforce its drug laws. So I think it wouldn't be anything particularly distinctive there either.
You can see how it would seem mysterious to somebody that a policy which supposedly has no difference in the way that drugs are handled in the country does lead to a statistical measurable decline, or does proceed.
Has been followed.
It precedes a measurable decline in drug-related harms across multiple areas, drug-related deaths, also HIV infections. And as I say, drug use has sort of gone up and down, but is now below the European average.
Other possible explanations for these. If I'd known you wanted to talk about the Portuguese drug paradise, I would have come here briefed.
Well,
I haven't. I didn't. So I haven't. I will just say to you that anybody reading the Washington Post account of this supposed success would hesitate in believing it was success.
The head of Portugal's National Institute on Drug Use, described by the Washington Post here as the architect.
Yo, Sid, thank you so much for the $100 YouTube super chat. Thank you so much for Gotta Go Be Social with my family for Easter. Have a great flight, Parker. So excited to see the tour. Yes, I'm super excited. I'm super excited. Thank you so much, Sid. I really appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you for the $100. Thank you so much. We get some W's in the chat. W's in the chat for Sid. Thank you so much. I really appreciate W's for Sid.
Of decriminalization did admit in December, quote, "What we have today no longer serves as an example to anyone." But the Washington Post did point out that rather than faulting the policy, he faulted a recent change in funding.
Yes, well, they always do that, don't they? It's because they haven't got enough funds. If you're doing the wrong thing, it doesn't matter how much you spend on doing it, it'll still be the wrong thing.
I guess I was picking up when reading your book, and especially the subject of mental health problems. You were very careful, admirably so, I think, to say, well, look, clearly there's this link between cannabis and things like schizophrenia, especially cannabis.
Well, I don't use the term schizophrenia.
Cannabis in young people, a variety of health problems. And there's also a link between, I mean, you have an entire chapter which is just a list of newspaper article excerpts where somebody has run over an innocent child whilst under the influence of cannabis.
Much worse than that.
And you say very carefully, look, I'm not going to say that I know that it's because...
Gia, thank you so much for the $10. Thank you so much. Oh, happy early birthday. Tomorrow is your 24th birthday. Happy early birthday. Happy early birthday to Najia. Thank you so much for the $10. I appreciate it. It's always good to see you. Always good to see you. Happy early birthday.
Because they were smoking cannabis, that these things occur.
Because I don't.
All I can say is that there's this correlation, and I'm saying, look, what's the most reasonable deduction that we can...
Well, the correlation that we have is the one Washington Post has discovered, which is that Portugal is a crime-ridden slum in many areas where drug use is high, which I wouldn't recommend to anybody.
But then, when talking about the fact that Portugal decriminalizes drugs, and although there is still a big drug problem in Portugal, the drug deaths decrease, and the number is still below the European average. How many times are we
going to go around this?
But because I know you said a moment ago...
Formulate the question you want to ask me.
I'll try. When I said a moment ago that this might be to do with drug decriminalization policy, you said...
I said it might be.
You said it might be, but it's just a correlation.
It might be to do with global warming.
Is that not the same attitude we should take towards cannabis and mental health problems? If similarly all we have is a correlation...
No, I think the correlation is stronger. I think the claims that were made for the Portuguese drug policy were unlikely to be causative. I think the suggestion that just possibly somebody who takes a powerful psychotropic drug over a long period of time, over and over again, then becomes mentally ill, and that the two might be connected, it's a bit like saying somebody daily takes a tube full of vegetable matter and lights it and holds it to his lips and sucks smoke down to his lungs repeatedly, and develops problems with his lungs and his cardiovascular system. There might conceivably be a connection between the two. These are correlations where it's sort of not much of a surprise. But to encourage people to take drugs which make them less capable of being active and civil members of society, and which make them more prone to commit crime, and you then go to society in which there is more crime and more what you might call social decay, as described in the Washington Post, and that these things are linked, is different.
Yeah, you don't need to encourage drug use here to decriminalize it. In fact, most decriminalization campaigns go hand in hand with something like a re-education.
I think I've had this actually. I think if this is going to be about drug decriminalization, I'm bored. If you want drug decriminalization, good luck. I'll enjoy the society you get as a result. But frankly, I'm sick of the subject, and I'm also sick to death of the people who promote it.
So yeah. Will you be all right?
You're entitled to use that, by the way. Feel free to do so if you want to. But I think you've had me here on false pretenses.
What?
And if you run this interview, I shall say you had me here on false.
I'm sorry. Which false pretenses?
Well, that this is going to be an interview about several subjects. It's nothing but drugs.
Yeah, I mean,
nothing. You're obsessed with drugs.
This is the first topic of many.
You're obsessed with drugs.
I had planned to.
I've written about it. You've not read what I've written about it.
I have. I have read your book.
Well, you're obviously reading it with the lights off. You're not aware of anything that I've said.
I have a number.
You haven't read what I've written about Portugal, which is easily found.
I've read that too.
Well, again, you've shown no signs of having done so. You haven't put to me any of the things that I've said in what I've written about Portugal. It's now, I've been here for an hour, and we've discussed nothing but drugs.
I had planned to move on to other subjects. I'm sorry.
I don't think you're entitled to run this. If you do run it, I should say I don't think you're entitled, that you've got me here in false pretenses.
I was just interested in your views.
I frankly think it's extremely bad manners.
I
extremely bad manners and very bad press.
We spoke beforehand. I said I wanted to talk about drugs and God.
You did say I want to spend an hour discussing drugs, including half an hour discussing Portugal.
I'm sorry if that was too long. I really
That's
had.
too long. This interview was supposed to be an hour.
They're like 40 minutes into the video, dude. Chill.
We practically finished that out. We have not moved from the subject of drugs.
I really had planned to move on. The thing that I'm disputing is that there were any false pretenses here. I asked if
Okay, so where does it say in your communications with me, I want to interview you for an hour about drugs?
Just before the interview, I said, I want to talk about drugs, I want to talk about God, I want to talk about the monarchy.
I came here.
You said that's fine, but the monarchy's boring.
London. You didn't say we're going to have an hour's discussion about drugs, including half the thing on Portugal. Because if you had done so, then A, I would have said no, and B, I would have been better briefed for these specific questions. I thought it was a general interview on a number of subjects. I think you have acted on false pretenses. I think you have been dishonest with me, and I think you've behaved extremely badly.
I had planned to talk to you about drugs and God.
And if you run this, I should not hesitate to say so. As widely as I possibly can. I think you behaved disgracefully.
What? He's been so nice.
Listen to me. Why should I bother to come here? I've bicycled across London in the heat to spend time being interviewed by you. And you've abused my goodwill. You've abused my hospitality.
I thought we talk about.
I don't want to see you again.
I thought we talk about drugs and we talk about God.
I'm sorry, you've talked about nothing but drugs.
It was the first.
You talked about nothing but drugs. We've been here for almost the full hour, which we said we were going to have. You talked about nothing but drugs.
It was the first subject that came up, and we were just going back and forth.
So it came up.
I had following. Yeah, I brought it up. I had follow-up questions to ask.
It didn't come drifting outside of the scene. You chose it.
I had follow-up questions to ask you. I'm sorry if that went on for too long.
It was your chosen subject for an hour.
I don't believe this. I don't believe this was under false pretenses. I really.
Nothing else. Not a syllable about anything else.
I can't accept that this was under false pretenses.
Also, round in circles too. You don't listen to my answers.
Look, I'm
still looking at such an incompetent interview. You don't listen to my answers, so you have to ask everything over and over again. Rude, incompetent, and extremely dishonest.
Well, if you like. I suppose there's nothing more I can say here. Run it if I like.
Right, sure, if you like. I can't stop you.
I think people would be interested to see your views.
Morally, I don't think you're entitled to run away.
I think people would be interested to hear your views.
You're not entitled to run away with it. You just aren't. You brought me here on false pretenses. You treated me with extreme bad manners, and you've done nothing but ask me about drugs. You didn't tell me you wanted to interview about drugs. You just did this. This isn't because you've got the better of me.
I agree.
You know almost nothing about.
I don't think that's
almost nothing about the subject of drugs, and you understand less. But I do think that you brought me. I do think you brought me here on false pretenses, and have been extremely ill-mannered.
Look, I would be happy.
I don't want this to be shown.
And why are you speaking into the mic?
I would be interested to see if people share your opinion. That's how I behave.
don't want this to be shared.
No, if people share your opinion, that's how I behave today. I think if I run this interview, people will not get that.
It is my opinion.
Can someone please explain that to me? Like, how is it the case that he doesn't want that to be aired as he's like literally trying to speak into the mic?
Basing my decision to get up and leave.
I think if this goes out, people will not think that that's how I've treated you.
Well, because you have the power to edit it.
No, I don't edit these things. I don't edit anything out. Nothing goes out. Every single word gets included. Everything.
I don't care. I still think it's
so I still
think it's ill-mannered, dishonest, false pretenses.
So I can post this interview word for word.
You're here on false pretenses, and I think you should be ashamed.
So I can post this interview word for word, and you think people
I've been lured here on false pretenses. I think you should be ashamed of yourself, ashamed enough not to run it.
I'm sorry. I just don't agree. I just don't agree that there were any false pretenses.
I know you don't.
Does
that make it better? You're not even aware of what you've done.
I'm bemused by this, honestly. I
don't doubt it.
So many episodes. We talk. We go back and forth. If there are follow-up questions, there are follow-up questions.
Don't doubt that you're bemused.
how long would have been too long to talk about drugs? Like if we'd have moved on half an hour earlier to talk about.
Personally, 1 minute was too long to talk about drugs.
So what
if you raised it, so I had
before this interview,
I went on and on and on.
So you just didn't want to talk about it at all.
And round. You didn't have any idea what I think. You hadn't read what I'd written, or if you had, you hadn't taken it in or understood it.
Before this interview, I asked you if we could talk about drugs. You said yes. You didn't.
I could talk about drugs. I didn't agree to an entire interview about drugs. I think it's a very good example of my powerful self-restraint that I haven't actually sworn at you. Anyway, if you've got any sense or manners, don't run that.
Hey, what are we going to do for the interview? We're going to talk about drugs, God, and the monarchy. You know, the whole time you were talking about drugs. That's literally like what he said he was going to talk about. It was the first topic. Like,
Ms. Hitchens, I want to run this just.
You're not entitled to run it. You have no moral entitlement to run it. You brought me here on false pretenses and you behave very badly.
Just
and if you do, I should say so.
Just in order that I can, that if that's the case, that if I have mistreated you, that I can hear that from someone other than just yourself, because I just
it's my opinion that matters on that.
I don't know what
you persisted with asking me to come. I never made any trouble about coming. I changed my day to come today. I agreed to come. I came on time. I was here when requested, and then I was abused. My good nature was abused, and I don't like that.
I suppose there's nothing. I suppose there's nothing more I can say, but I must say that this like I have to run this. I have to.
Why?
I have to run this because like people know that I've spoken to you. They'll want the interview, and they'll.
Okay, well, I'll start tweeting that at the crypt I regard as an outrage to your name.
No, I don't. You don't
carry on tweeting it until there's an outrage of ill manners and bad faith that you're running it at all. If you choose to do so. I was tricked by this way once by some.
Tricked by somebody else.
Yeah, I've had someone else try to trick me into about drugs by pretending they were interested in general matters.
Listen, I really genuinely.
Very unkind of that. They at least didn't have the nerve to run it.
Indeed, I would happily talk to you now about any other subject and not run the drugs part, just the rest of it, just to prove to you that I'm really not here to trick you into a conversation about drugs.
There's so much content about everything else. It's just
I can talk to you about.
It's always go like this. If you get on a topic and you get rolling.
Genuinely, I was just interested in following it up. I really didn't mean to make this some sudden. Suddenly, we're just going to talk about drugs.
Do you know what it is? Do you know what it is? I am so frigging bored about arguing about drugs with morons who want to legalize them.
Well, I'm sorry if it's boring, but that doesn't make
so boring.
That doesn't mean I'm
so boring. I've wasted years of my life on it.
That doesn't mean I'm acting
good, bro, dude. I'm glad that people fighting the good fight for them to be legalized, right? You had to argue against them, you fucking weirdo. Like why does he think that like we're the crazy ones? Like, bro,
out of malice here.
No, but it's if you knew anything about me, you'd know how sick I was of talking about it.
Look,
I couldn't even be bothered to read properly what I'd written about it. You claim to have read it. I have to take it as truth.
I only wish you'd have told me before the interview.
You weren't paying attention. You didn't understand it.
I only wish you'd have mentioned this before the interview when I asked if we could talk about drugs.
Well, I talk about drugs to people, and I didn't say I would come across London for an interview entirely about drugs.
It wasn't supposed to be. It just look. I have other topics that we were about to move on to.
But we weren't.
I mean that genuinely.
You barely begun on bloody Portugal. I
can prove it.
But you didn't get there, did you? Because you chose
literally
with this.
He just offered, right, that he would cut that part out of the video and literally just run the other stuff if he sat down and had a conversation, and he didn't do it. He didn't sit down to have the conversation. Like, bro, holy crash out.
And then you finish with that. So what are you offering me?
What I'm offering you is firstly an explanation as to.
I don't want an explanation.
Secondly, what I'm offering you is, for example, if you want me to prove to you that I'm not interested in tricking you into a conversation about drugs. If you wanted to sit down and talk about the other subject, for instance, God, that was the next one on our list, and we talked about that instead, just to prove to you that I'm not interested in just talking about drugs to you. That's not what I'm trying to do here, and I mean that.
Let's see if he accepts.
But what happens to this drivel that we've wasted?
Well, look, like people know that I'm talking to you. They'll want to see a conversation with you, and they'll expect me to have talked to you about drugs. I can explain to them that we did and that you didn't.
I can talk about it, but I can't talk about it for an hour with you going round and round in circles, not listening to my answers.
Look, you seem that the reason that you seem angry at me is
I don't like you.
Okay.
That's the reason. I really don't like you.
That's fine.
I really have decided in the past hour that I really do not like you at all.
That's fine.
I had no opinions on you
Really
before.
doesn't like Alex
Now I
O'Connor being
actively
so
dislike
nice.
you.
That seemed to be based on
the fact that you're a propagandist for drug legalization. Yes.
the fact that I'm somehow tricking you into
No, you're a
talking about
propagandist for drug legalization, and I regard such persons. I will sometimes, and occasions, I will be in the same room with them because it's necessary for debate. But I do not choose their company.
He's so triggered, bro.
I'm genuinely.
I won't tell you the other occupations with which I can equate them, with whom I also don't wish to spend time. But I don't like you.
Look, this isn't. I've spoken about drugs publicly twice.
Yeah, I don't care what you've done publicly on this occasion.
He spoke about it twice.
You are a very strong opponent.
And he's a propagandist.
That has been the purpose of your interview.
My
bro is so triggered. He's literally making up shit. Like, oh, you're a drug propagandist, and he's literally talking about it twice is such an own. That's such an own.
Job as an interviewer is to challenge my.
Slick, thank you for the two pounds. It's not like for sure, but like maybe we will be able to. We'll see.
I guess regardless.
I don't care. I don't mind being challenged.
If I were talking if I had David Nutt on the podcast, who I was supposed to for a long time, my questions would have been in the exact opposite direction.
So you say.
I would have put his points to you. You can see it on any of my previous interviews.
What did you say?
Any of my
I don't care.
And that's why I reject that this is a false.
I think you're in favour of drug legalization.
Yes, well, I am. Yes.
Are you not?
Yeah, well, I am, and I
You
told
are
you that.
exactly.
I told you
think
that.
that's what you're in favour of. So I then have to ask myself why.
That's different from being a propagandist.
No, it's not.
Being in favour of something is not different from being a
Well, it
propagandist.
depends on what you do with what you do as a result, isn't it?
Asking questions.
Asking questions and then not
and
listening
giving a
to the
platform
answers.
to one of the most well-known.
Obsessively and not listening to the answers. Not doing your homework before the interview.
The whole purpose of having you here is to counteract that kind of propagandic element of only just talking about drug legalization and having instead one of the most well-known.
I don't want to be the meat in your sandwich.
Look, the reason why what I'm trying to say here is you're saying that I have no moral right to run this because you think that I've invited you under false pretenses. I just don't think that's the case. I just don't think that's the case.
But then I'm not sure you would even rouse you, so that wouldn't.
And so I think I do have to run this interview.
You'd have to.
I'm sorry to say, I feel on principle that
principle?
In the way that you feel I've mistreated you by somehow tricking you, even though I've done no such thing. I feel like you're now mistreating me.
You asked me to run this on a number of subjects, and it turns into an hour-long interview about drug legalization.
That I told you we'd talk about drugs.
Well, yes, but it's just one of many subjects.
And the interview hadn't concluded.
Well, it has now.
Sure, but we were going to move on. Like, of course we haven't talked about other subjects.
How much time was left in an hour?
We would have been able to talk about it right now.
Well, do you remember before we started, and I have it on camera, in fact, that I said, this goes for an hour, but if the conversation flows, if the conversation goes on, it might go on for an hour and a half or 2 hours.
It absolutely didn't.
And you said that was fine. And so the plan was
absolutely didn't flow.
The plan was an hour.
Didn't flow.
The plan was an hour on drugs.
I've seldom in life had a conversation that's been more of an endurance test. It did not flow. It was constantly halting. While I lost my temper with you at one point over your repeating. What about alcohol questions?
The plan was an hour.
Flowing.
The plan was an hour on drugs and then an hour on God. That was the idea, and we just didn't make it that far because you're now leaving.
Okay, I mean, honestly, as I say, I have no power over you at all. I can't stop you running it. I think it would be completely wrong for you to run it, but if you, I guess I can't stop you.
It'd be completely wrong for him to run
it.
it.
Never ever want to see you again.
Well,
I think
we'll have to see what everyone else thinks about that. Well, we'll see what everyone else thinks about that.
Sure.
We'll see.
I'm sure all your druggy friends will think it's great, but I don't.
I think even
dude totally crashed out. That was brutal, chat. That was brutal. How's Dean's live going, everyone? How's Dean's live going? Let's look. It's going all right. How long has he been on? How long has he been on? He's been on for about an hour. Same old, same old. Should we join him or what do we do? Parker, get a nap. So I am kind of tired. I'm not gonna lie. There's a few people here in the Parker, get a nap. Yeah, join him. All right. We'll join him. We'll join him. All right, everyone on TikTok, go over to his stream and just say Parker Raid. 100 viewer Parker Raid. Let's do it, chat. I think we can do it. For the people, or you can come to my YouTube. We lost a lot of people on YouTube. People, I guess, were not enjoying the reactions. But yeah, make sure to go over to YouTube. I would appreciate that. All right. Love y'all. All righty.
And put our economy last, put our people last. It is also the case that I think that it is the government's fault for creating this issue in the first place.
Maybe we should, if they're here illegally and haven't committed crimes, they should be able to stay, get a pathway to citizenship. However, I think that if they just stay here illegally, they do need to have a pathway to citizenship so they stop getting paid these low wages and they can start helping GDP.
Dean, I think we've talked to this person before.
I don't remember him.
I feel like
Parker
they come up all the
Parker
time.
is a D1 hater. Parker, you get up here and you already start talking.
Oh wait, are you the same guy that run the argument about like how access to abortion is racist?
Nope. That's not me.
Yeah, I think it is. This guy, dude, I literally, the last time he was up here, I did the same thing, Dean. And I was like, bro, I promise you. He's been up here before. I promise you.
Is that same guy?
I think
No,
it is.
How do you keep on like slipping through the cracks, bro?
Actually, that's not me. The person about what you just said was not me.
He's such a liar, bro. Your voice is so distinct. It's terrible.
I mean, at least you're significantly more respectful today than you have been in the past.
Thanks. Wait, but can I ask you one
He
more
said
question?
thanks. He knows it, dude. And you gaslight me every time, dude. I hate you.
I mean, like the kid, like this guy, he's not like incredibly like stupid or anything. Like I think that you're more intelligent than most people that come up here, and like seemingly you're making progress, right? Because the first time we debated, you said that access to abortion is racist.
That actually
And
was
now-
not me. Like, I'm not joking about that. I have come up here before, but that was not my argument.
Okay. But regardless, now you're saying that every woman and girl deserves access, and now you're conceding the mass amnesty. I think I'm gonna radicalize you.
Yeah. So, what do you think about the person who is? I don't know much about it, but the person who is being.
You've already been up like 4 times, so I'm gonna kick you, Parker. How we doing? Yeah, dude, I'm like actively radicalizing that guy though.
I'm doing all right.
Great.
I was just doing reactions.
Yo, Stephanie, thank you for the $10 over on PayPal. Saying thank you so much. As an old New England lady, I was able to debate my 77-year-old conservative uncle using some of your arguments. And he conceded. Dude, that is awesome. Dude, W's for Stephanie. As well as Veronica and Eric. Thank you both for the $5 over on Venmo. Hey, guys, if you're watching and you'd like to support me, you can find my Venmo, my PayPal, and the link tree in the bio, y'all. I get 100% of those proceeds over on those platforms. It's also keeping in mind, I want to go ahead and throw this one out here, that this is going to be my last live for a couple days. I'm going to be off the radar for like the foreseeable future because we're going down to Texas, boots on the ground in Texas A&M. Melissa, thank you for the galaxy. And in fact, I'm hopping on an airplane at 6 p.m. tonight Mountain. So I mean, the live today is only going to be around.
You should tell him the flight number too. Honestly.
Dude, funny. It's okay. It's a small regional airport. All will be good. Yeah. So today's stream is going to be a little bit shorter, and I'm not going to be live for a couple days, and that's about it, y'all. But yeah, no, I appreciate everyone so much for the love. What's going on, Connor? Do you support Trump? Okay. Okay. Oh, Connor.
You hear me?
Yeah, I can, man. Are you driving?
No, I'm right here. I'm in the warehouse.
Okay. Do you support Trump?
Yes, sir.
Okay, why?
Cool. Look, one thing that I don't understand with you guys is why make overcomplicate things, right? Like Trump here, he's the president of the nation, right?
Yeah.
So why do you always got to? I don't understand this here. Him being the president, why not just support the guy? Have some faith in the man. Let him keep going.
Okay, well, because I think we should be like the most critical of people that dictate our lives with like seemingly unilateral power as he's chasing. I think it's really important to be critical of him and what he's doing because he has control over our lives. I mean, you said let's not complicate things. That's not too complicated. When somebody else has so much power, they can control the lives of millions. Like we should be likely the most critical of them.
Yeah. No, I understand you. I know what you're saying, sir. It's just what I don't understand is what I don't understand is that a lot of people discredit him, right?
Yeah, because he's a very discreditable dude. He's done a lot of really bad things. He's perpetually harming this country and those in which live in it. In fact, I'd even take it one step further by saying that he's perpetually harming this world.
All right. So it's fine to criticize the guy, right?
Right.
But do you respect him at least?
No,
As
I don't.
president?
No.
You don't
Do
respect
you?
the president of the United States of
Hell
America?
no. Hell no.
And Connor, I get where you're coming from. Like, what a world we live in where we can't respect the president. And I agree with you. I think that we should have only like incredibly respectable, professional people running this country, sitting in the Oval Office. And I think the fact that we have such a disrespectful fool running the country, sitting in the Oval Office, putting a stain on what the presidency represents, is yet another issue with him.
All right. No, I understand you. I hear you. Now, my question for you is: to be the president of the United States of America, it's not an easy thing to do, right? I get it.
Thank you for the $5 on PayPal. I do appreciate you for the love.
I get it. Everybody wants to discredit him and say that he's bad.
Apparently, Biden did better while literally like being half cognitively there. So apparently, it's not that difficult.
I mean, listen, I'll agree that it's not easy to be president.
Exactly, right? So,
but what does this tell us?
This tells us that give the guy a chance.
Well, I mean, I kind of have. I gave him a chance for like 4.5 years, man, and I think I've made up my mind.
And was it really that bad? The first
Yes.
4 years?
Yes. I mean, he's a terrible president, sir.
All right. Why do you say that?
Where do you want me to start?
What?
I mean,
in comparison to Biden, let's just say.
How about him destroying relationships with our allies, like saying he wants to annex Canada, right, Greenland and Panama, right, and that he wants to take over Gaza, right, after ethnically cleansing the Palestinian people, right, and turn it into real estate development called Trump Gaza.
Oh, okay, yeah, I did see that strange video online, right? And sure, I mean, I'm not gonna support certain things that he says or does online, but overall, I mean, like I said, he is the president of the United States of America. Like, he just started with 3 months in or so. He's got another 4 years to go. So far, he's made a lot of progress, don't you think?
What? No. He's been destroying our country from within. What are you talking about, bro?
I just, Connor, real quick, what are your thoughts on Biden?
On Biden?
Yeah.
Well, I don't want to blame him too much. I get it. 2020, you got the COVID. It's the C-19. I understand that, but
I think Biden was a great president. How about you, Connor? Give us your thoughts.
Biden was a great president. Well, yeah. So yeah, I understand that you said you think that Biden was a great president, and I guess my take on him is he wasn't too bad, but again, inflation, everything was up, oil, everything.
Oh,
was pretty
wow. Are
bad.
you speaking negatively
But then
upon a
again-
president who had less time to be the president than the current president that you're telling us to give more time to before we make judgment?
Yep, seriously.
No, I mean he had his time, right? But again,
Trump has had more time.
Fact.
yeah, sure, but
And
again,
Biden did more. Fact.
Yeah.
Biden did more.
Bye, Connor. Sorry, man. Yo, Annie, thank you for the $10 over on YouTube Super Chat. He was about to bring up Garcia. If you don't know much about the case, don't talk about it. Real. Thank you so much for the love, Annie. Do appreciate you so much for that. Thank you so much for the $10 over on YouTube Super Chat. What's going on, Edward? Do you support Trump? As well as Beatrice and Isabel. Thank you for the $10 and the $5.
No. I just want to respect.
Boom, boom, boom. W. Edward down below in that chat. Moving on to the next guest. Here we are. Everyone, do just give us a minute, y'all. We got the next guest loading up into the live right now. If you're in that queue, make sure that you do indeed support Trump. We are just looking to speak with people that do. Veronica, thank you for the $5 on Venmo saying Happy Easter. Thank you for the love. Happy Easter to you as well. What is going on?
You
Connor?
know,
Do
you
support-
know the holiday it is today.
What's up? Hello? Can y'all hear me?
What holiday it is? It's Easter.
There's
And
another holiday it is.
There is another holiday. You're right. I don't know if we could say it on TikTok, but you're damn right there is. Hey, Connor, how old are you?
I'm 15. I don't
Jesus
even
Christ, it's a fetus.
And
Bye, Connor. Connor, honestly, I think that, you should watch the live. Let me see if I could radicalize you.
It is my type of holiday. I tell you, it's an incredible day. A day that you've been wondering about every year. Every year it comes by. Let's just say things get interesting.
We're gonna go and move on to the next guest. Here we go, y'all. And yeah, guys, I'm gonna miss you guys while I'm gone for the next couple days. I'm gonna try to do a live stream. I don't know. I'm gonna try to figure something out. I'll probably be the most active on Instagram. So if you're not already, make sure you follow my IG. Emily, thank you for the $10 over on Venmo, saying thanks for all that you do. Where can we watch the Texas event from? I'm gonna talk to my guys, and I think I'm gonna try to set up a live stream off of my accounts at the event.
That'd be great.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to figure that out, y'all. All right, guys, go ahead and drop a maggot down below in that chat if you do want to come up in a bit, y'all. Then once again, if you do want to support me or Parker, you can find my Venmo and PayPal in the link tree in my bio. Same for him as well. If you're watching on YouTube, in the pinned comment, as well as the description of the video. 100% of those proceeds go directly to me, and they help to further fund the studio and the setup, so I could continue to do this for 4 hours every single day, apart from the next 3 days, I guess.
Wendy, thank you for the $4.20. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much, Wendy. Isabel, thank you for the $5, and Emily, thank you for the $5 as well.
Hello, Monvi. Do you support Trump?
No, I'm just here to say thank you for everything.
Thank you for popping up and saying that. Are just looking for Trump supporters, guys. Please, if you're liberal, hop out of that queue. Just because we don't really have that much time on live today. In fact, I only have another hour and a half, guys. So please, just debates. But you guys are awesome.
I have less than that.
What's going on?
Hello?
Connor? Do you support Trump?
I just want to say happy 420 and y'all keep doing everything. I love y'all.
Yeah, that's what I love to hear.
Moving on to the next guest. Yo, please. Only looking.
Emily,
for
thank you for
some
the $10.
debates. Only looking for some debates. Come on, y'all. All right, guys. Where's our next guest, guys? Where's the next guest? If you're in the queue, make sure that you support the president. MAGA only, MAGA only. Hello, do you support Trump? You're down there spamming MAGA in that chat. How old are you?
18,
18. What year were you born in?
2006.
What time is it?
Pardon?
What time is it?
It's 1:45.
Oh, what state are you in?
I'm in Wisconsin.
Melissa, thank you so much for the galaxy. Guys, is Wisconsin PST?
Can you name two?
Melissa,
Or
thank
can you
you for
name
thank you for the
three
second
cities
galaxy.
within Wisconsin?
Dude, W.
So
Melissa, thank you so much.
we have Wisconsin capital, and then we have Wisconsin.
That's
Moving on
that's
to-
my new question. It's been working, Dean.
Very fire. Quite frankly. Moving on. Here we go. Hello, Hoops. Do you support Trump?
No, I just want to say thank you for everything.
Oh yeah, bro. WU. Yeah, you got Wisconsin's capital. That's right, everyone. Yeah, Wisconsin's capital.
That
Hello,
was
Dallin.
diabolical.
Hey, Dallin, do you support Trump? Hello? All right, bro. I'm losing my goddamn mind, y'all.
Lauren, thank you for the $4.20 for Stay Elevated. Thank you.
Chat. I'm losing my goddamn mind. I'm losing my marbles. Dude, Melissa, you're going crazy with galaxies. Thank you for all the love.
Caitlin with the $4.20. Thank you so much, Caitlin.
I'm losing my mind, Chad. Where are the Trump supporters? Can you help me find some Trump supporters?
I got you.
Thank you so much, bro. All right, because we just need some debates.
Hey,
Hello,
thank you for the
Thomas.
dollar. We don't have any other places set up.
Thomas Hubbard, hello.
Yeah, hello.
Do you support Trump, Thomas Hubbard?
No, I just wanted to say that I am from Wisconsin's capital. Like, it's a legit place. It's got like a population of 42,000. It's pretty nice.
Is Wisconsin's capital like the name of a city? What's up, Emily? Do you support Trump?
Yes, I do.
Neon, thank you for the $2.
19.
Why is your profile picture so cringe?
I think it's really nice.
Her bio is also I heart Donald Trump at Dean.
I wanted to debate for a very long time.
Totally trolling.
Hey, bro, if you're not trolling, say that you. I want you to pray to to Trump right now. Pray to Trump. Say, Trump, please save me from the liberals.
Save us,
please."
Trump.
Could you give
Trump,
a prayer?
please save us from the liberals.
Okay, she's totally trolling. Okay, if you were a real Trump supporter, you'd say, "Never disrespect my president like that." What's up, Giovanni? You support Trump?
Yes.
Okay, Giovanni, give me one moment because I gotta thank Steve for the $20 over on PayPal. Thank you, Steve. Let's get 200 big booms for Steve down below in that chat. Steve says, "You are awesome, Dean. Keep up the great debates and flip those you can from MAGA to sane. Here's $20 to spend at the airport." Oh, Steve, you are so thoughtful. That $20 will go straight towards, I don't know, like what? A thing of chocolate pretzels, Steve. Thank you so much. W's for Steve in the comment section. Thank you so much. Giovanni, take it away. Tell us why you support the worst president of your life.
Is it true that Parker's dad raped him when he was younger?
This person's a weirdo. No, that never happened. What the fuck?
Giovanni.8787. TikTok, we kicked them. Please don't ban me. We obviously condemn that shit here. Please don't ban me, TikTok. We're gonna go get that next guest up here. Giovanni.8787 was his username, if you're curious. Moving on to the next
They've done
guest.
that before. They're so weird. Like, I don't know why they do that.
Yeah, a bunch of weirdos. Moving on to the next guest here, everyone. Just give us a minute, guys. Go ahead and drop a magnet down below in that chat if you do want to come up with a debate. What is going on, CJ? Do you support Trump?
Yes, sir.
Is there any more like quiet of a space that you could go to?
Yeah, give me a second.
Okay. Yo, Melissa, thank you for the whale dive. And while CJ's finding a quiet place, first of all, let's get some W Melissas down below in the chat. That gets left. But like also, let's get 500 W Annies in that live chat right now for the $50 donation over on YouTube Super Chat, saying split with Parker, safe travels, and a preemptive L for Charlie Kirk. You got it. Half of that will be going to Mr. P Dog down here. You got it, Annie. Thank you so much for the $50 donation. That is literally so kind of you. As well as V with the $20 donation on PayPal saying Happy Easter. Happy Easter to you as well, V. Let's get a billion. Sorry, I tabbed out of the app. Let's get a billion big booms for V and Annie, as well as 100 W's for Sniffles with the $10 saying best part of you streaming on the weekend is I get to play Monster Hunter while you school them. Dude, that's awesome, Sniffles. Thank you for the $10. Cream cheese, hello. Do you support Trump?
Hey, I do. How's it going?
Have we talked before? Cream cheese?
Yeah, we had debated like I think maybe 2 weeks ago, maybe.
Okay. Well, we do typically just look to talk to each person once, just to kind of keep it new. It's really hard to do when we're just debating people on the same shit every day. So, but nonetheless, thank you so much for coming up. I appreciate you. Moving on to the next guest here, everyone. What's going on, Charleston? Do you support Trump?
Hi. I just have a quick.
That's a no. We're moving on to the next guest. We're only looking for people that say yes. And once again, like I'm sorry if you think I'm being mean. I only have like another hour to debate, guys. I don't have that long at all. Please only join if you support Trump. What's going on, Abe? Do you support Trump?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Yes, I do. Okay, why is that?
Well, I personally think that
I gotta ask you, man. Are you from America?
I not originally, but I moved 2 years ago.
2 years ago?
Yes.
Okay, what time is it?
That is not a question you need to ask. Okay, wait. Okay.
That is not a question you should ask. It's crazy.
Bruh. All right, just start spam inviting people up onto the stream at this point. All right. John,
Hello.
you support Trump?
Of course.
John, why?
Yo.
Why, John? Why do you
Oh,
support the worst president of your life? Why?
Well, for a few reasons, but I'm curious your thoughts on the MS-13 member that the Democrats seem to want back in our country.
Okay. So first and foremost, when you say the Democrats want the MS-13 member back into the country, you're assuming he's an MS-13 member, as well as you're assuming that it's just the Democrats who want to uphold the law. However, that claim might be true. The Trump administration was actually ordered to facilitate Abrigo Garcia's return to America by the Supreme Court.
Yeah, he ignored it. They don't have any rule. They
The
can't do
Supreme
anything
Court
about
are
it.
Democrats.
Wait. What were you about to say there, John?
I said they can't do anything about it.
They can't do anything about it, like the Trump administration?
Well, Trump doesn't have to let him back.
Okay, well, literally he does. Yes, he does have to facilitate his return in
the
accordance with
MS
the order from the Supreme Court. Don't pivot. You said that he doesn't have to facilitate
No.
his return. Yes, he was ordered by the Supreme Court to do so. So, like legally speaking, he does have to. He's just simply ignoring that legal order.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
So, do you think that's a good thing when we see a degradation of checks and balances in our federal government
Yeah,
with an attempt to consolidate power to one branch? Are you advocating for a king, sir?
I think it's a good thing to keep gang members out of our country.
Okay, so I just want to clarify. I want you to respond to exactly what I'm saying without a red herring. Do you agree with the Trump administration's decision to attempt to consolidate all
Yes.
power to the executive branch of the government?
Yes, I trust Trump and his administration more than them.
Okay, great. So you want a king?
Well, so let me ask you this: you said
No.
Didn't even answer the question. It's diabolical.
So you want a king? Like I just want to tell you, this is
I don't
why
want gang members.
this is why the Revolutionary War started, John. It's because we didn't want a king anymore. We didn't want consolidated power to one person and his cronies.
Well, I trust him more.
And when you're telling me, yes, you're telling me that you trust one man more than the checks and balances provisioned by the American Constitution. You're a traitor to this country.
Sure.
Like I'm not even lying. You if you were alive during the Revolutionary War, the drafters of the Constitution would have viewed you as an enemy to what they were trying to build.
Okay, that's fine. But could I ask? You said.
I mean, I don't think that's fine. Do you think that you're an American patriot?
Yes, of course.
Okay, how can you be a patriot and an enemy simultaneously?
I don't want an illegal who's a gang member in my country.
So you're not answering to my question. But by the way, he's not a.
What does patriot mean? John?
Patriot. I don't know. Someone who stands by their country, is loyal, defends the Constitution.
Yeah, but you don't defend the Constitution. You
just
advocate
contradict
for the
yourself.
degradation of the checks and balances provisioned by the Constitution.
Oh,
And also,
well-
you don't have sufficient evidence that he's a gang member.
And Donald Trump is
Yeah,
not.
MS-13
And Donald Trump is not a
tattooed on
patriot.
his arm or on his hand.
No, he doesn't. Stop lying.
Yes, he does.
No, he doesn't. You're unironically lying. You're okay.
And
So what
on
Donald Trump,
top of that,
Donald
he's
Trump
illegal
posted.
and beats his wife.
John. So first and foremost, Donald Trump posted a picture of his hand tattoos, with photoshopped MS-13 on each finger, and said that he has MS-13 tattooed on his hands. Why do you believe this absolute fucking brain rot?
Oh, because the guy's first of all, he beats his wife too.
Okay,
He's
so
illegal.
if you're saying if men cause harm to women, they're
And-
therefore a member of MS-13. So does that mean
and
that Donald
he-
Trump is a leader of
well,
MS-13
no.
since he raped
And
E. Jean Carroll?
An informant said that he was a part of MS-13.
We should get
but they pulled his name
MS-13 out of
the
this
hat.
country. Donald Trump is MS-13. Get him out of the country. Am I right?
Yeah, you're a comedian. We keep illegals.
No,
and
that's
gang
your
members
view.
out
That's
of
what
this
you just said.
country.
That's what you just said.
Okay,
I
then like
bet you-
secondarily, your claim here is that an informant said that he was. So why is like one individual's testimony outside of due process sufficient to rule Abrigo Garcia as a member of MS-13, but not only the testimony of Eugene Carroll but 7 others on top of the
You're
preponderance of
pivoting.
evidence submitted?
We're not
to
talking
prove-
about Eugene Carroll.
So, so
Eugene.
John, I would like to clarify. Her name is
give
not
a
Eugene;
fuck.
it's Eugene. And then, secondly, I'm not pivoting. I'm using your standard
Yes,
of
you are.
evidence to demonstrate hypocrisy.
Would you want this guy living next to you?
John, I want you to respond to what I'm saying. I'm using your standard of evidence to demonstrate hypocrisy because you're saying that the confidential testimony of somebody that you have no clue of is sufficient evidence for you to prove that Abrigo Garcia is a member of MS-13. But then, like, for whatever reason, due process in a civil court where E. Jean Carroll gave her testimony as well as the testimony of 7 others on top of other surrounding evidence is not enough to believe that Donald Trump is a rapist. Why do you hold such a vast difference in your standard of evidence?
Well, because I'm going to use a bit of common sense here. I'm going to assume the informant didn't pull his name out of a hat and just make up that he's a part of a gang. 1.
Okay, so
And
then why
2,
can't I assume that Eugene Carroll didn't just pull
let
up
me
Donald
answer the
Trump's name
question.
out of a hat?
Let me answer the question. Eugene Carroll, by the way,
Eugene.
whatever.
No,
She went on.
You'll say her name correctly because you know her name. You're purposely
Actually, no.
doing that.
Actually, no. I really pronounced it how I know it.
Eugene.
She went on The View parading that she just made millions and millions of dollars and she was going to go blow it on whatever. She was parading that she took millions of dollars from Trump. It was all shakedown. I don't believe
didn't even watch
she was
that.
parading that she got money from Trump. First of all,
Yes,
I'm not
on
sure
The
that
View.
happened.
It's on
Second of
TV.
all, if it did happen, Bubba based Eugene Carroll. Holy fucking shit. She's
Oh,
an
yeah.
icon. An absolute
Okay,
icon.
yeah.
Okay, I just want to clarify.
Yeah.
If she did that, if she was
He's
able
ashamed of
to
women who are actually
successfully-
abused.
if she was able to successfully
You're
hold
such a
Donald Trump
disgusting fuck, John.
if she was able to successfully hold her rapists accountable, then fucking get $87 million to be forced to go from him to her because he raped her,
Are you cool
then
with
I
that?
think she has the right to spend that money however the fuck she wants.
Absolutely.
And if she's talking
Hold on,
about
hold
how
on.
she's gonna spend that money, oh my god, an absolute icon.
Where's your proof
Mwah,
that he
to a
raped her?
T,
Where's
to
your
a T.
proof?
The
Well,
civil court
'cause
case.
that's
The civil
defamation.
court case. Oh,
Well,
it's
I mean,
not
civil court
defamation
case.
because Donald Trump has been determined by a civil court to be a rapist.
He was
I think-
not criminally convicted of raping her.
Wait, so you're saying that a criminal conviction has to occur in order for you to believe the claim? Where's the criminal conviction that Abrigo Garcia is a member of MS-13, bud?
Well, he's deported for a reason. They found.
Where's the criminal conviction, John?
You would not want this guy living.
John,
next to
answer
you.
my
You would
question.
not
Where's the
want
criminal
him living
conviction of
next to
Abrigo
you.
Garcia? John, stop pivoting, stop dodging. I want you to answer to me very directly. Where's the criminal conviction that has labeled Abrigo Garcia as a member of MS-13?
He wasn't criminally convicted. He was deported.
Oh, well, sorry, John. I'm going to need a criminal conviction in order
and
to believe
actually,
your nonsense.
El Salvador president has him in a jail right now for a reason.
So I want to clarify. I'm going to need a criminal conviction in order to believe your nonsense, little bro.
Well, I'm telling you, I don't believe her.
Yeah, because you don't see a criminal conviction. So I'm going to use that.
No,
same
that's
standard
not
of
why I don't
evidence.
believe her. I
Okay,
think
so then
she-
why did you bring it up?
I think she was. Well, you asked me a question. I think she was looking for
No,
me.
actually, Parker didn't ask you a question. He stated the evidence is that Donald Trump
You did,
substantively lied.
dumbass.
No, hey man, let's not get upset. I understand you don't know how to regulate your emotions, just like your daddy in the Oval Office. But you know that's neither here nor
Do
there.
you have a dad?
What?
Do you have a
I
dad?
Yeah, I love him. He loves me.
That
I
is a
bet you'd like to
crazy
meet him,
question to
though, right?
ask.
You did a bad job.
That is a crazy question to ask, John.
Well,
With you too, Parker.
So John, I understand that you think instilling a reasonable basis of wanting to seek genuine truth with the deployment of reason, fact, and logic is a bad job because it threatens everything that you stand for.
John's like so mad that he had to like go to that. That's crazy. You got him so pissed.
Little boys.
You pissed him off so
We-
bad.
If this country was left up to people like you, we would be fucked.
You would be
Both
fucked,
of
John.
you.
You would be
You
fucked.
would
That's
be
for
fucked.
sure. John, I'm going to
You get
clarify.
ran
If
over.
the country was like left up to being ran by me and people like me, people that
Would be
value
fucked.
truth, people that value reason, logic, and want to instill values of wanting to seek an education and had no genuine facts of the world around us through like logical exploration, you would be absolutely and totally fucked. And the
A
reason I
couple of
say that you'd be
teenage girls would
absolutely
beat the two of you up. Teenage fucking girls.
John, okay. I mean, I was roasting you at this point. I don't really think it matters though.
No,
because
it's a
we're just gonna stay
fact.
pissed.
It's a
John,
fact.
John, I don't even think
I'm
you have
just telling you what
operating.
it is.
I am not convinced you have
Yeah.
operating brain cells.
Oh, hey, Real quick, I do just got to thank Melissa
I'm
for the
convinced you
30.
have under 100 testosterone
Hey,
levels, guaranteed.
Wait, hey John. Real
That's not.
question. I was
Is that
gonna
even?
thank-
Wait, is that even possible?
I was gonna thank
For
Melissa
you, it
for
is.
something real quick, but
I'm
hey, John,
assuming it is.
just a quick question, since you're such a reasonable, smart guy.
Under 100.
In what measurement are testosterone levels measured in?
What measurement? I don't know. Go get a blood test and find out.
So John, it's nanograms per deciliter.
Nanograms. I don't give a fuck.
It's nanograms per deciliter. Do you know what a nanogram is?
What's yours? What's yours, Dean?
Well, I've never got it tested.
Maybe you should figure it out. Maybe you should raise them a bit and you'll become a
You know, I've
Republican.
actually got mine tested. It's about 1400, bro.
Oh yeah, okay, tough guy.
That's like equivalent to like all-star.
That's how stupid you are.
Yeah,
You don't
dude,
even know.
I've got a
how ridiculous
1400, bro.
that is.
I'm serious, John. 1400, bro.
And then
Get-
also,
get-
Get on my level.
If
Hey,
you're
John,
1400, I'm a
John,
fucking million.
Hey, John, just real quick.
Fuck's
I understand
sake.
that you want to like go like full like caveman mode and talk about your testosterone levels.
Sure,
It's
sure,
like
sure.
typically what beta males
You know,
do
it's
when they
actually a
lose the
study.
debate.
You know, it's a study.
It's not a study to you. You
Lower
didn't even-
testosterone levels are.
John, it's not a study to you. You didn't even know the unit it was measured in.
Dude, I have
okay?
1400, man.
But I just want to thank Melissa for the
correlated with being aligned
$30.
with the Liberal Party.
I want to thank Melissa for the $30 donation over on PayPal, saying thanks for all that you're doing, Dean. I admire your patient. Thank you so much for the love, Melissa. Let's get 300 Melissa W's, as well as Linda. Thank you for the $20 donation over on PayPal, as well, saying if I were your parent, I would be extremely proud of you. In fact, I am proud of all that you contribute to society. Thank you, Linda. Dude, let's get W's for Linda and Melissa over in the live chats right now. Yo, John, real quick, can you thank Linda and Melissa?
Thank you, Linda, Melissa. Love you guys.
Good boy.
So, anyways, would you like to have this guy as a neighbor? By the way, this MS-13.
Would you like to
member?
have Donald Trump as a neighbor?
Absolutely.
That is diabolical. The guy who had held civilly
That's
liable of sexually
diabolical.
abusing a woman that bragged about walking in the changing rooms of girls and Miss
He
Teen
probably
USA
upped
'cause he
my
couldn't put
property
OnlyFans.
value. Actually,
Yeah,
he'd
but
up my property value,
anyways,
not decrease it.
I would like to clarify that, yeah, I wouldn't mind having a Brillo Garcia as a neighbor.
Really?
Yeah.
You the guy who beats his wife?
You just told us that you want a rapist to be your neighbor.
Answer
and
my
then,
question.
And then on top of
Who
that,
beats his wife, you'd be happy to have as a neighbor.
and then on top of that, and according to people in the chat, that claim is not true, quite frankly.
What's
but
not true?
I want to clarify. So what I do know about the claim that Abrigo Garcia is beat his wife, like, could you reiterate to us the evidence for that real quick?
For what? Sorry.
Yeah, that he beat his wife.
It's public information. I mean, I
Yeah, but
saw it
like,
on the news.
but
And
like,
when
what's the
she
public
was asked the question, she didn't even deny it. She just wouldn't answer it.
Oh, so are you saying like the evidence is her testimony?
What?
Like what's
It's
the
a
evidence?
fact. He beat his.
I know, but what's the evidence to justify the fact? Like I'm not like, telling you you're wrong. I'm just genuinely curious.
You're asking if I don't understand. What are you asking? Sorry, I kept getting
No.
calls in between.
What is the evidence to justify the claim?
I saw it on the news just that he has a criminal history of assaulting his wife.
I know, but like, are you saying that so he's like criminally convicted of it?
I'm not sure. I just know he did it. That's what I heard.
So
I
then
don't know.
how do
if he
you
was
then how do you know he
arrested
did it?
in prison.
Oh, he believes that, but he doesn't believe Eugene Carroll.
Well, it was on the news. I saw it on the news.
Again, believes
I don't
that,
really
but
care.
doesn't believe
I don't
Eugene
really
Carroll.
care if he was arrested
Oh,
or not.
wait, actually, I'm gonna go ahead and just read you a quote from his wife. After surviving domestic violence in a previous relationship, I acted out of caution following a disagreement with Kilmar by seeking a civil protective order in case things escalated. Things did not escalate, and I decided not to follow through the civil court process, where we're able to work through the situation privately as a family, including by going to counseling. So, like, seemingly what is being told here is that there was probably like high tensions between Abrigo Garcia and his wife at one point in the past, and out of a stance of caution, the wife then filed a civil protection order in case things did escalate to the point of domestic violence. However, things did not escalate to the point of domestic violence, and that is like from the wife. That is a
So
quote from the wife.
He didn't assault her.
Yeah, according to the wife.
And
right.
you're gonna say right now he didn't assault her.
Yes, I will.
So if people in the comments look up if he assaulted his wife, they're not going to find anything.
I just quoted the wife saying that it never happened.
Okay, but if people look up if this guy's assaulted his wife, they're not going to find anything saying he did.
Wait, I'm sorry. So why do you believe that, but you don't believe E. Jean Carroll?
Yeah, like you believe that like he is a wife beater.
Well, because Trump's been politically persecuted so many times. It's outrageous. I mean, like his thing with the property where they tried to say they claim fraud or he overestimated his property value. Nobody has to deal with that shit except for him. Nobody gets charged with what he did. First of all, the judge said his property is worth $18 million.
I'm not even referencing the fact that he was held civilly liable for sexual abuse, right?
Well,
Why don't you believe E. Jean Carroll?
The reason I don't
Listen,
believe it is
John.
because I think people are out for blood and for his money just because they don't like him.
So then why do you believe that Garcia assaulted his wife with no evidence and the wife says it never occurred, but then you don't believe that Trump raped E. Jean Carroll with evidence when
she was
Carroll said it?
She was asked the question, and the wife was asked the question, and she literally wouldn't answer the fucking question.
I know I have her answer
public
right
record.
here.
It's public record that she filed domestic violence charge against him.
No, that's not true at all. She filed a civil protective order, and this is a quote.
For what
once again from-
reason?
I just told you. I read a quote from her. The reason is that she had survived survived domestic violence in a previous relationship, and she filed. wait, what do you mean? Yeah, exactly. I'm literally answering.
She filed
your
it against him.
insofar
She
as why
filed it
she
against
filed
him.
a civil
She-
protective order. The wife
filed it
literally
against him
said,
because of a past relationship.
yes, that is what she said. She filed a civil protective order against him because in a past relationship she had survived DV, and out of an abundance of caution, she filed for a civil protective order in case things escalated to a point of DV. She then said, and I quote, "Things did not escalate," and she decided to not follow through the civil court process, and she was able to work through the situation privately. She said that.
And on top of that, he's illegal, correct?
Wait, why don't pivot? Don't shift the goalposts.
Well, no, we've talked about this enough. I mean,
No, I want you to concede that he did not abuse his wife.
I from what I heard, he did.
There's what's
And
the
from
evidence?
what you heard, Donald Trump sexually abused E. Jean Carroll. Why don't you believe that?
Well, when you go around parading how much money it took from someone laughing about it, it doesn't seem like it was too. She didn't seem too upset about it.
What?
Plus,
E.
she's a
Jean
fucking
Carroll was
actor.
what? How can you say E. Jean Carroll wasn't upset about being sexually assaulted?
I
How the
don't
fuck
believe he
can you
did
say
it.
that about
I
someone?
don't believe he did it. I don't believe he did it.
Again,
Wait,
without any
wait,
reason, without
wait.
anything.
Wait, so I just want to clarify. You're saying that you don't think that E. Jean Carroll is a victim of rape because she was happy
No.
about the fact that her rapist was held accountable?
Say that again.
You're telling us that you don't believe E. Jean Carroll is a victim of rape because she was very happy that her rapist was held accountable.
Yeah, like he's insane.
Yeah,
So that
like
was
I mean,
weird.
yeah, you're just so incredibly backwards, John. You've never had a sentient, rational thought in your life because you're
Okay.
literally defending that Abreu Garcia beat his wife, even though his wife said that he didn't, and then you're like, E. Jean Carroll's not a real victim, even though she said that he is. Seven other people did, alongside the preponderance of evidence submitted inside of the civil court that held Trump liable.
Oh.
Like, please
Yeah.
get some brain cells, bro. You are like a threat to this country.
It's pretty interesting. It's pretty interesting how this guy's an accused gang member in domestic violence, and
You don't have any evidence that he beat his wife.
And
His
on
wife
top
said
of
he
that,
didn't.
now, listen to what I'm saying. It's pretty interesting. He's accused of these things, and on top of that,
Accused,
he
and
came here.
then you won't even
Quiet while
accept the
I'm
civil
talking.
court
He came
against Donald
here
Trump holding him
illegally.
responsible.
Illegally.
Again, you
He
accept
came here
accusations
illegally.
towards immigrants, but you do not accept accusations towards Donald
He
Trump.
should not be in our
26 women.
country.
26.
He shouldn't be in our country.
And Donald Trump shouldn't be our president. He has 26 different women that have literally accused him of sexual misconduct, and you didn't believe a single one of those.
Hasn't been arrested
And
for
then
a single one.
I'd also like to really point out here that you're right. Under the current processes, under the current legal processes of deportation, there could have been a claim that he should be deported. We will never know that because he was not given due process in an immigration court. But on top of that, if you are just saying that you want to uphold current immigration laws, then you would
Yeah.
so you do want to uphold current immigration laws?
Yes, he's here illegally.
Okay,
Deport him.
so then you would
Let
say
them
that
decide if he's guilty.
no, John. If you want to uphold current immigration laws, you would say that Abrigo Garcia should be returned to America because that's what current immigration laws state. That's what the Supreme Court, who's the ultimate interpreters of American law and the American Constitution, had ruled.
That's the case. I disagree. I say this. This is what I say.
So you're saying that you just disagree with the law, right?
Okay, so here's what I would do. I'm going to tell you what I would think. I think if first of all he's here illegally and he committed a crime, deport him to his country and let them decide if he's guilty or not.
So you're
Give
just saying
him
that
his
you
due
disagree with the law.
process.
You're saying that you disagree with the current law, right?
Sure, if they're not thinking the way I am, I disagree.
Okay, so you're basically admitting that the Trump administration did something illegal, but you just support it.
No, I'm happy he deported him. And let the, he's letting
but
El
the
Salvador-
deportation was illegal, John.
He's here illegally. How's that illegal?
Wait. How's it illegal? Because the Supreme Court, the ultimate interpreters of American law, as well as the American Constitution, said so.
Dude, he's saying it's wrong for them to quote unquote illegally come into the country, but it's okay for him to illegally deport them.
Yeah. Like I just want to clarify. So why is it okay for Trump to illegally deport him?
So
but
if
it's
you
not okay
come
for
here
him to illegally
illegally,
return?
we can't deport you.
Illegally deport you?
Yeah, you can't illegally deport people. That's like kind of why that's self-evident. You can't do illegal things.
What about ICE?
Does he still have Fourth Amendment protections?
What about ICE? What do you mean we can't deport them?
What do I mean? I can't deport him. Here's what I mean. Because it's illegal because the Supreme Court said so. Do you need anything else?
Well, yes, because if you're telling me,
wait. Who's the
hold on.
ultimate?
If you come into this country illegally, why do we not have the right to deport you?
So you do have a right to deportation given due process in an immigration court. He was not given that.
We know he's here illegally. He came here illegally in 2011.
It's a lot more
So let him go
complicated than
through
that.
due process.
Wait,
It's pretty simple.
So like before so he filed for asylum. He did have temporary legal protections, and that's why him being present in an immigration court for an immigration judge to determine if deportation was legal or not, that would be like incredibly relevant. But John, I just like one last thing here. Do you agree that his deportation was illegal because the Supreme Court ruled it illegal?
If the Supreme Court ruled it illegal, then it's illegal, and I would be in favor of him getting deported either way.
Okay. So I just want to clarify that you are in favor of the Trump administration doing illegal things.
In this case, absolutely.
Okay, so you're okay with the illegal consolidation of power to the executive branch of our government?
Okay.
You're a
Are you
traitor.
okay with illegal immigration?
Wait.
He got a flag though.
I'm like, if he's okay with Trump
You're
doing
okay with illegal
things,
immigration?
then he has to be okay with again undocumented immigrants doing illegal things to come into the country.
Say that again. I didn't hear you.
Yeah, if you think that it's okay for Trump to do illegal things, so then why isn't it okay for undocumented immigrants to do illegal things for a better life, like get into the country?
Trump has his due process in court in the United States if he does something illegal. This guy's not from the United States.
They
okay.
still get due process.
You got a flag.
Yeah, it's okay.
hello,
I'm probably
whatever.
about to get off here in like 3 minutes.
Word, man. I'll probably be on for another 45. But hey, I'm actually gonna go use a restroom real quick. Can you start
Go for
debating this guy? I'll be right back, everyone.
Whatever. Did you vote for Donald Trump?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, why so?
Because he's getting all these illegals out, including the Abrego, whatever his name
Why do you
is.
call people illegals? And also, again, we just went over how that was like illegal.
No, I know, but what you're ignoring is, and what Dean was saying is a lie.
No,
Trump can say no to the Supreme Court because it hasn't played out totally, and you know that. Just because the Supreme Court rules a certain way, the process doesn't say that the president has ultimate power. The process says is he's going to appeal what the Supreme Court says, and you know that. So why do you mislead people in thinking that that he's not obeying the law? The process has not played out, correct?
The law was established, particularly like the order from the Supreme Court. You can't say no to a Supreme Court order. Donald Trump did say no to a Supreme Court order. That puts us in a constitutional crisis. Hold up, also, right? I think it's incredibly dehumanizing for you to call people "quote unquote" illegals.
And he can go.
Right, the Supreme Court is the final arbiter of the. Hold up. Hold up. The Supreme Court is the final arbiter of the law, right? So Trump cannot say no. That's not how it works. You are literally lying.
Hey, what's the lie? Sorry. Just
He's saying that Trump doesn't have to like listen to the Supreme Court.
okay, why?
He thinks that they just have no jurisdiction, apparently.
Okay, why? Whatever.
No,
What's your position?
I didn't say he doesn't have to listen.
That's
I didn't say he
exactly
doesn't
what
have
you
to
just
listen
said.
to him. I just said he can consider it, and it has not played out. The final decision has not played out.
What does
And
that
you
even
know
mean?
that.
What does that mean? Yes, it has. The Supreme Court has made the order.
He can't. Okay, so you're saying that it's played out. What he's doing is illegal, and
Yeah.
he has no response to the Supreme Court. Of course he does.
Wait. So just like in like the checks and balances ordained by the Constitution, rulings by the Supreme Court are like generally final and they can't be appealed
Right.
because there is no higher court. And like the executive branch of the government is under the jurisdiction of like the Supreme Court in a sense, because the Supreme
Right.
Court merely interprets and implements the Constitution as applicable to American law. And because the Supreme Court has interpreted and implemented, the Constitution as applicable to the laws executed on by Donald Trump as illegal, he would have to facilitate the return of Abrigo Garcia, and that would be final.
Yeah, but you keep saying words like generally. You know that the executive branch can question the Supreme Court decision, but you won't acknowledge that. You
So
just
would
say,
you be
"Oh,
totally
he's
okay? Would you be totally
illegally
okay with
doing it."
Biden, right? When it is the case that the Supreme Court said that he what's it called? When the Supreme Court said that he needed to bro, my brain just like shot out and completely forgot.
I just want to reiterate
Student
that-
loans. Student loans. When that he couldn't facilitate the ending of student loan debt within plenty of respects. That he should have been able to do that. Are you saying that?
Okay, I'm glad you brought that up because he did it a second time.
Hey, I'm so sorry. I just have to say, you said something false. You said that you could question Supreme Court rulings. No, they're final.
What do you mean they're final? Biden did the
I mean
exact
what I
same
say.
thing.
No, he
The
didn't.
Supreme Court ruled he couldn't eliminate student loan debt.
Wait.
and he
Who
did
do
it
you
a
appeal
second
to?
time.
Who do you appeal to?
Can I just correct him real quick? Because
He
like
did it a second time.
no. So when the Supreme Court ruled that Biden's loan forgiveness was unconstitutional, he then went back and interpreted what the current law is and found a special way to re-navigate the issue of student loan forgiveness. Which means he. No, you're not listening.
It's still legal. It's still legal.
Can you listen to me before can you listen to me before I finish speaking without interruption?
Sure.
When the Supreme Court ruled that Biden's first plan of student loan forgiveness was unconstitutional, Biden did not question that and went along with that Supreme Court ruling, but merely just found a new way to do what he wanted to do that was constitutional and was
Right.
legal. Okay.
Right.
But when you tell
So
tell
Trump-
me, no, you're still interrupting me. Stop. So when you're telling me that you can question rulings by the Supreme Court and they're not final, that's wrong. Judgments from the Supreme Court are absolutely final. The only way their decisions can be altered is if Congress passes a new constitutional amendment or if there's a new ruling by the Supreme Court. The executive branch has no jurisdiction and no authority to question or nullify Supreme Court rulings.
Correct. So we agree on that because Biden found a way to make it okay. And if Trump finds a way to make it okay, just
That's
like
not him
Biden
doing that.
did,
It's just him
that's
violating the
fine.
order. Biden didn't violate the order.
It hasn't played out.
What do you mean it hasn't played out? What the fuck are you talking about? It's the final fucking point when we're talking about the Supreme Court. Who are you going to appeal to? You can't. If you appeal to a higher court. Right?
Yeah,
There is no appeal process when it comes to the Supreme Court. It's the final order.
When the Supreme
I'm
Court
not saying appeal.
whatever,
Now,
stop. When the Supreme Court makes a ruling, it is done. It's over. It's dead in the water. So there's nothing to play out here. Okay. When the Supreme Court ruled that Biden's student loan forgiveness was unconstitutional, it was done. It was dead. It was over. It was in the water. He just simply found another way to do what he originally wanted to do that was constitutional. Okay, right? But now, as it relates to the deportation of Abrigo Garcia, it's done, it's dead, it's over. The Trump administration is legally required to facilitate his return. All right. But what your argument would tell us here is that once they listen to the Supreme Court, once he's has a facilitated return to America, then they could just probably find other legal ways to deport him, which would probably include due process in an immigration court.
Can I speak now?
You can speak, but I just want it to be very clear. There's no way for the Trump administration to legally circumvent the Supreme Court's ruling that they must circumvent his return.
If he finds another,
There is no other way. There's no other way. There is no way that the Trump
Okay.
administration
Okay.
can legally uphold his deportation as it stands. They must necessarily facilitate his return, unless and if they don't do that, they're doing something illegal. This other way, quote unquote, would be them facilitating his return and then finding a legal way to deport him after that fact. But if they do
Which would be due
anything other
process.
than facilitate his return to America right now, they're violating the law.
wrong.
All right.
Not
Well,
wrong.
all right. Well, I gotta
If
go.
he finds another way,
Parker, I appreciate you for coming up.
Appreciate
And I'm
you.
so sorry
Appreciate you,
that the
man.
guests today are so dense and terrible.
Yeah, they were pretty bad. Everyone, I just want to let y'all know I'll probably be gone for a few days. I'm gonna be posting stuff on YouTube still, but I'll probably be gone for a few days from live. I'll try to see what I can do in terms of lives while I'm gone, but I'll keep y'all updated. I love y'all so much. Have a great day, everyone. Bye, y'all. I love y'all so much. I'll say hi to people on YouTube. If you have any questions, you can ask me on YouTube real quick. But I'm about to get off everyone on YouTube as well. Love y'all.
Peace out, Parker. Okay.
Alrighty. If you have any last questions, you can ask me right now. Otherwise, I am about to get off, Chad. I'm about to get off. I love y'all so much. I love y'all so much. Will with the $4.20. Thank you so much. Speaking of which, I got you. Diabolical, chat. Diabolical. I love y'all so much. I love y'all so much. If you have any last questions, ask me. Otherwise, I'm about to get off, y'all. It's the last time you'll see me for a few days. Seems like there's no more really. All right, everyone. I love y'all so much. Have a great night, y'all. Peace out.